welcome to the Horror Hangout, a podcast where film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time and talk about them. My name is Ben Errington, and I am joined by a one Mr.
Andy Conduit Turner. How you doing, Ben? And indeed, how are you doing, everybody? Only Ben can answer me right now, but hello anyway. How's it
Yeah,
going?
I'll answer. I'll say I'm doing all right. I'm assuming everyone else is well. If they're not well, hopefully by the end of
Look
this
after yourselves,
podcast,
everyone.
look after yourselves is important, but hopefully by the end of this podcast, you'll feel significantly better. Just in yourself, we can't actually solve any big problems you might have, but the minor ones, your entertainment for the next hour and a half or so.
Not knowing what happens in night swim, that might be one of the troubles that's getting you down. If that is your specific trouble, let's sort that right out.
We're gonna sort it right out. We're gonna talk about night swim. Before we do, I'm gonna say, how do you feel about a night swim? I always feel a little bit creeped out by getting in a body of water at night time.
I don't know, I've done much night swimming because even when you're on holidays, the place where you're most likely to pass a pool at night, because in this country, an outdoor pool at your house, in this economy, no. But
Never.
um, even when they're quite foreboding and have the lights on, and you're not allowed in at night time, are you?
No, it's kind of creepy. I've always found it kind of creepy. I don't think I'd ever want to go in the sea at night, maybe just because of Jules. And I don't think I'd ever want to go in a swimming pool at night, probably because of Jurassic Park: The Lost World when the T-Rex turns up and eats the dog. Um, not
When
in
it's
the pool, but
having a drink
next to
out
a
the
pool,
pool.
having a drink at the pool. Yeah, that'll always be on my mind.
Yeah, I don't think I've done very much night swimming. If it has been, it's been more of a
Skinny dip.
night paddle, a night splash about.
Oh yeah, a night
Yeah,
splash about.
not so much of a night swim. I've not been like crack and do a few lengths, shall I? Never.
Shall I do a few legs now? Did you ever do that thing when you're in a pool when you're a kid where you like were swimming around, you're closing your eyes, and for a brief second you're like, I bet there's a shark in here, and you have a look about.
Oh yeah, all the time,
Yeah,
regular. Yeah.
I think I still do that now. Just have a quick moment where I'm like, hang on a minute, I'm a bit terrified here.
There's another thing to fear now though, because I think as an adult, especially swimming around, maybe not so much for you, Ben, because obviously I imagine most of the swimming you do might have been taking your child with you. I
Mm.
feel as an adult, probably from the point you gain a little bit of self awareness as the late end of being a teenager, it's like, oh, I can't really be looking under the water all the time. So it's a
What's
nightmare. Like
what someone
okay,
just
like yeah,
assumes you're
just
having a.
assumes. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm a big fan of being underwater. When I do lengths, I love to do maybe the first half of the length underwater. That's
Oh
kind of
yeah,
my
that's good.
I'm
That's good. But
Aquaman.
that's in the purpose of swimming. You're not standing about in the shallow end, like dipping your face under to have a look for sharks, are you?
Talk for yourself, mate.
People
I'll
are
have a
trying to think
little.
you're looking at their bums.
Yeah, they will. Yeah, exactly. Which I'm not. And even if I was, I wouldn't tell you. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. And I reckon that like if you said to the lifeguard after they peeped that whistle at you, no, I was just checking for sharks, if like a likely story.
A
Get
likely
on
story.
get
Well,
on
you
the
but you
sex offenders register, mate,
you
and get
missed
out.
that shark, didn't you? Get on the sex offenders register. Oh, bloody hell. Do I have to? Yep.
Yeah,
Oh,
name. They're literally putting it into an iPad by the side of the pool.
oh, absolutely raging. I'm so disappointed. Yeah, so first movie of the year, I guess January for any film release. Um, but it's particularly horror can be a bit of a wasteland. I say that, but there's usually like a few big movies that come out, aren't there? The ones that didn't release at the tail end of 2023. But this, um, a late January horror movie. What did we get last year? Mafregan.
Regan was January last year.
That
An
was
all
like the big.
timer made my top 10.
Yeah, it did. Can he believe it? Well, I can't believe it. I gave it an honorable mention. But yeah, if anyone has listened, we've had a bit of feedback for our episode for last week. So this one's coming about quite quickly. It's only been a few days since we recorded the last one.
Yeah, only a couple.
But yeah, I guess in terms of horror news, first then, shall I? Shall I?
Yeah, please.
Horror
Please.
news. The one big thing I wanted to talk about was a new horror film festival called Screams by the Sea, which is taking place in Bournemouth on February the 10th. Um, they've just gone through the process of accepting films and short films and even screenplays for a screenplay competition. And the deadline is now passed. So the lineup for the festival will be finalized and released soon, probably this week. But yeah, we are going to be getting the festival director, Radi Nikolov, on the show to chat about everything to do with Screams by the Sea. Probably this week, maybe next. So yeah, and we're going to be covering it quite closely. Not entirely sure how closely yet, but we're going to try and cover it as closely as possible. Something obviously we discussed last year was that we wanted to do more in-person events. And if we can't always get to in-person events, hopefully we'll continue to cover some events remotely. But this is going to be the first one of the year and quite early on in the year as well.
Yeah, quite early on, but it's interesting, especially like as a first time film festival. Love to see more of these things take hold. You know that we don't get too many in the UK, certainly not too many that are outside of London. So good to support anything that's going on. Look forward to catching up with more, Ben, see what we can see early in the year. As you mentioned, sometimes can be a bit of a wasteland for newer releases. So see what we can see,
100%.
eh?
So keep your eyes on our social channels, and we will give various updates when we can. Yeah, so that's Screams by the Sea, Bournemouth. And yeah, look out for that bonus episode with the festival director. ASAP, very soon in the offing. It's in the offing. It's all being planned behind the scenes. In terms of other horror news, I had to mention this, Andy, and I didn't really want to mention it, but a lot of horror channels have been talking about it. So let's have our discussion about obviously Steamboat Willie, Mickey Mouse, as in the public domain from January the 1st. And that day I think I saw loads of different artwork and loads of things like that. But there is an independent comedy slasher film called Mickey's Mousetrap coming out. Obviously, they had this on the back burner, ready to go. A horror reimagining of Walt Disney's 1928 short film Steamboat Willie. I don't want to be a negative Nancy, Andy. Didn't even watch the trailer. But did you? And how do you
I've not.
feel?
I'm aware that it happened because I know there's
Yeah.
also a horror video game coming out about it, which isn't the sort of
The shooter.
classic. There is there's a shooter coming out, but before that was announced, one that is legally distinct from Mickey Mouse,
Yeah.
that's like a 1950s style cartoon shooter that actually looks really great, was already on the way. But yeah, we knew it was going to happen as soon as this things became public domain. And in principle, I think more power to people doing things. Take down the big companies by showing there's things in the public domain now. You can have some fun with it. You can be creative with it. I will reserve judgment because I haven't watched the trailer yet. I imagine it's going to be is it like a low budget affair?
It looks like a low budget affair. It looks like just someone in a Mickey Mouse mask being a slasher. Again, I'm not being a negative Nancy, but almost like where I'm going. Yeah, I saw that coming. What's it look like? Yeah, it kind of looks like that. And in a year where obviously we got Winnie the Pooh, in Blood and Honey, and we're getting a sequel to that this year, next year, soon. I don't know. And unfortunately, critically didn't quite hit the mark for anybody. Does it just make you think, oh, I want something a little bit different? I want some sort of like horrible Mickey Mouse body horror stuff, maybe a mouse.
Where a man turns into the man. I don't know. The thing is that very, very specifically, it's Steamboat Willie, the first appearance of Mickey Mouse, where I don't believe he's talking, lots of the supporting cast. So you cannot do, at this point, a Mickey Mouse horror film.
Yeah.
Not that I've seen Steamboat Willie in anything but passing, but from what I understand from clips of it, he spins the wheel of a ship around and does a bit of whistling. I'm not sure what depth of lore you're getting out of that.
It's a 7-minute 47 short film, so you're not getting much lore out of it. And you got what's his face? What's his enemy called in it? Pete, the big scary.
I thought it was like is that Mickey Mouse's enemy? I thought that was like Goofy's next door neighbor.
Yeah, possibly, but maybe like in terms of the shared universe, they've gone. Yeah, he grew up hating Mickey, but now actually he hates Goofy the most.
And he's only mildly inconvenienced by him. From what I recall of Goof Troop, he's just a bit of a of a show off, isn't he?
Just a bit of a bloody show off because Goofy is a bit annoying as well, isn't he? Oh,
clumsy.
Turn it in. Why is Goofy a dog in clothes, but there's also Pluto, a dog pet? Explain that to me.
It's a different universe. They've got different laws.
Nah, what? Don't hit me with that. It's in the same universe, right?
In their same universe, but not ours.
I
Like
know,
Mickey
but
Mouse doesn't sit there going, "I'm not still
I
over
want to know.
Vietnam yet. The war took a big toll on me." Like those things
Oh
didn't
yeah,
happen.
didn't they?
Genetically, it's all very different.
I suppose it's the same when you asked a question about Donald Duck having no kecks on, but
Donald Duck having no trousers, and
no
who else
trousers on.
doesn't?
But when he
And
gets out
Mickey
of the
Mouse has
bath,
trousers but not a top.
yeah, it's like they got one outfit between themselves. Just
Swapped.
just get yourself down Primark, buy yourself a new outfit, cheap as chips. Uh,
Yeah, like
so
I don't know. It could be fun. Like basically, anything could be good. My worry with these is that there is such a grab to be the first to do one of these things
yeah,
that you don't necessarily. It's like
it
Ian Malcolm
makes
talking about Jurassic Park. You think about all the things like what you could do. Don't stop thinking everybody should you?
yeah,
But
yeah.
they could. Anything can be good. I will see how it comes out.
I like that as a way of thinking. Anything can be good. Right, okay, again, reserve a judgment. We'll watch it. It just feels like when things are just like edgy for the sake of being edgy. Like, hey, this Disney character? Oh yeah, the lovely Disney character. Yeah, everyone
Slash
loves
it,
that
wouldn't
Disney character. Imagine him, and and everybody stay with me, okay? Because I know I'm a bit kooky. But imagine if they were killing people. Like the nice character was evil and killing people. Well, it's not. It's just someone with a mask on. Like that was what I was confused about in Blood and Honey when they were like, these animals are actually animals, Piglet and Pooh and whoever else.
I mean, you say that then, like, taking a beloved, often family-related character and making it dark and edgy for the sake of, and I'm going to lean in to say this with a little wry smile. Zack Snyder's been making a career of that for bloody years, hasn't he? Got him.
Bloody hell,
Bloody
mate.
got him.
You know, bloody
No,
hell,
he's
mate.
all right. He's a good
Give
lad.
him a break. Give him a break.
No, seems
So,
like a nice man.
but yeah,
But
it does.
you know
It
what I
does
mean? Like,
feel a bit like that, doesn't it? It does feel a bit like that. Like as an actual horror fan and consumer of horror, like it feels like something who wasn't a horror fan would do. They'd go, "We should make this into a bloody horror film, mate." Oh yeah, that's a good
yeah,
idea.
anything could be good. We live in a rich tapestry, and it's much the same of when it reached its high point of how widespread superhero stuff is now. Like you can have things that are not intended for the people that might have originally got on board
Mhm.
with the core of it. Like Pennyworth,
Yeah.
the story of Batman's butler.
Oh yeah.
I don't know who that's for particularly, but like it certainly
No.
wasn't for me. My mom was a big fan of watching the WC's like the Flash, and
Yeah.
I was like, nah, no thanks. But you can
Yeah.
take something that's horror centric and it can be for anyone.
Yeah.
You may
What?
be getting very niche with some of this stuff, but you know, could be
Mm,
good.
what? What IP would you like to get your grubby little mitts on and make into something different? Not necessarily a slasher horror movie, but so not any old IP. What I mean is an IP that perhaps could be reaching the point of coming into public domain. 100 years on it actually, so that's probably not a
Yeah.
good
Oh no,
example.
there's tons of stuff. Like you can do Sherlock Holmes stories now, which I think are great. You could do it. People are
Yeah.
doing brilliant non-Arthur Conan Doyle Sherlock Holmes stories that are
Hmm.
got some great horror. You do some great mystery with that character.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, if you want to go back in your podcast feeds, everyone, not the horror hangout feed. I mean, do that as well, but pop along to our good friends over at the other stories and listen to a certain series from last summertime, Andy Conduit Turner's Tragic Kingdom,
Oh.
and you can listen to me do a little
Yeah, of
Peter Pan
course.
inspired story, about in what world is there a ageless immortal fairy creature that comes into children's windows at night and takes them away to a magical kingdom from which they may never return. Um, and how is a pirate the baddie in that situation? Just a man, doesn't fly under the colours of any
Not
particular country.
not just a pirate, a man with an ailment, a
Yeah,
physical ailment whose name is almost like a derogatory term based on that ailment. There he
yeah.
comes, old Ook.
Actually, that was just his name to begin with. just convenience.
My name's Captain Hook. Yes, fine, yeah.
Yeah. So telling those kinds of stories, but finding different ways to do them. I think there are more imaginative ways, essentially, that you could do rather than just this, but now a
Yeah.
murderer.
It's all going to
But
be Disney stuff.
there's loads of
I
stuff.
think we're gonna get a slew of like Disney things over the next like 10, 15 years, I bet.
Yes.
Killer dwarfs, all of the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, killer dwarfs.
I mean,
A kill. Hang on a minute.
that's quite
Uh,
old now, but so many
are
of
we
them are
getting that
based on
back?
old fairy stories as well, right? So obviously, The
True,
Little
yeah.
Mermaid is a Disney thing, famously, but The Little
I've just
Mermaid by
remembered
Hans
another
Christian
one.
Andersen must be public domain by now.
Yeah, I've just remembered another one. Bambi the Reckoning.
Bambi the Reckoning.
That's actually legit.
We had The Grinch, the mean one, right?
Yeah,
Came out. I
yeah.
think the team behind Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey are doing a Peter Pan.
A Peter Pan? Are they?
Peter Pan, yeah. I think
Don't
they are
let,
doing
let
something like that.
don't let them rip you off, Andy. Don't let them rip you off.
Well,
I'll be there to
that's
back you
okay.
up.
So that's
Don't
public.
rip
It's
them off.
public domain. I mean, if they want to hire me to write it, I'd do a bang up
Yeah,
job.
go and get your hands on Tragic Kingdom itself, the um
Yeah,
audio
I mean
fiction.
that's the
The
middle
other
of all of
stories.
them are standalone, but we've done all kinds of things. I wrote most of them with the exception of one by your friend and mine, Mr. Luke Condor. His love letter to Neil Gaiman stories. It's really
Yeah.
good. It's a really good story, the one he tells.
Your friend of mine and quiz winner, Luke Condor
Luke
King.
Condor. Yeah. So how
Exactly.
about you, Ben? What fairy tale would you like to do a reimagining of?
I don't
Or
know,
old
really.
property?
I don't know, really. I don't know. I don't think I'm um excited enough about it. If I give it a good thought, I could probably come up with something. Alice in Wonderland has always got like but that's another thing
Yeah.
that we've touched upon in the other stories as well as H.P. Lovecraft, even though notoriously a bit of a bad bloke. Lots of lovely, scary creatures and
Monsters, I
unknowable things, unnamables.
maybe that's it. You'd like to remake the Unnameable.
Yeah, maybe I'll remake the film, The Unnameable, which was the film that scared me the most as a kid, shaped me as a horror fan. I used to have nightmares about horrible winged naked demons, saggy breasts, uh, and then I go to bed. And then and then yeah, yeah,
Classic.
that's a good idea actually. I have always been of the when things scare me, I almost double down on my like um interest in those things. So like all the films and the games that scare me the most are like my favorite things now. Um so yeah, maybe the unnameable. Who knows? Who knows, eh? Um I've got one more piece of news based on the fact that we mentioned very briefly Saltburn. Was that last week? Was it the
Yeah,
week
we did. I
before?
think we talked about Saltburn last week.
Last week. Apparently, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein has cast Jacob Elordi, who is the posh guy with eyebrow piercing, big long man, big long tall man, as the titular monster. Not titular. Yeah, titular
Yeah,
Frankenstein's monster, replacing Andrew Garfield. Now, this cast, Mia Goth, Christoph Waltz, Oscar Isaac, and Andrew Garfield, I was like, wow, that is next level. That's amazing. An adaptation of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein in a year where we're getting Poor Things and is it Lisa Frankenstein? Obviously, Poor Things was more last year. We're getting Lisa Frankenstein this year. And now this is happening. Frankenstein's monster is incredibly, it's big again. Everyone's loving it. This is something that's ripe for um loads of different new versions talking about things coming into the public domain. I don't know how I feel about this. I feel like just a man based on like, oh, everyone loved this performance of him. Oh, when it's sexy, don't you want to lick his plug hole? Uh, and then they've gone, yeah, get him cast as Frankenstein. I'm a bit like, oh, I ain't so sure about that. Yeah, I don't know. How do you feel about that?
yeah. I haven't seen Saltburn yet, so I can't comment on the performances on there. But always up for a Frankenstein story, like
Yeah.
Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, one of my favorite books. Um, I haven't seen the film Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, where it's in the title, in
Ever?
many a year, if ever.
I
If
watched it.
ever. Maybe I
I
haven't
wa-
seen it.
I've watched it in the last few years. Um, Kenneth Branagh directed, something like
That's
that.
it, I think, yeah.
But Bobby De Niro is the older Frank. Frankenstein's monster, isn't he? Old Bobby De
Yes.
Niro. It's good, but
Yeah,
yeah, I
maybe I
don't
need
know.
to give it a little
As long
revisit.
as there was nothing in this Saltburn performance where I was like, he'd be a great bloody in
Big
Frankenstein
old
as Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
He's just like a big old posh man in this, just like it does my head in a little bit. Where I'm like, all right, turn it
They're the
into.
real monsters, though, aren't they?
They're the real monsters, yeah. Um, I think maybe that's it. As a strict as a as a strict fuck the Tories guy, watching this movie, I was like, why are we all lusting after these bloody horrible poshos? Bit rude, sorry. You know what I mean. You know what I
Not
mean.
rude
You know
enough.
what you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Not rude enough. Why are we all lusting after them? Why are we all going, oh yeah, this is a very sexy, risky film? I'm like, they're all twats. That's my faults anyway. That's my faults.
Yeah. Speaking of what you've been watching, though, well, if there's no more news, what you've been watching?
What have I
What's been
been
keeping you
watching?
spooked up?
I ain't done any bin watching. Although between Christmas and New Year, you never know when the bin's gonna get taken
Oh, I'll tell you what, real
by the
life
bin
horrors,
woman.
I.
So maybe I have been doing some bin watching, looking out and going, hang on a minute, that's still full up. The neighbours got their bins out.
How many
Do
times have you
you?
Googled it? What day do you collect my bin? Put your
Yeah.
postcode in.
I haven't Googled it once. I'm always a person who just looks and sees when my neighbours put their bin out because I
Yeah,
feel
you
like
trust that you live next to real adults and
I
they know
feel
how
like
to
they're
do it.
reliable. Yeah, and I definitely had the sheet come through my door and I've put it somewhere. You know what I mean? Um,
Magnet that on the fridge under the Chinese restaurant menu.
exactly. What have I been watching? Not much. As I mentioned, it's only been a few days since we last recorded. Um, but in terms of what I have been watching, I have been reading. That's not watching.
It's all right,
A
that's
book called.
watching. You just watch the words with your
I'm
eyes.
just watching the words. Yeah. Tender is the flesh. I don't know if you know much about this book. This has been on my list for a while. Augustina Basterica. I think she is Argentinian, possibly. Yes, correct. Dystopian novel, and it's all about society in the future. Don't really know what year it's supposed to be. It kind of feels like sometimes it's a long time in the future, and other times you're like, maybe it's just a few years. A society in which a virus has contaminated all animal meat, and because of the lack of animal flesh, has everyone gone vegan? No. Cannibalism is legal, and there's like there's like a lower class of people that like are essentially called heads, which they're bred for human meat, and they have their vocal cords cut out, and they're kind of like they don't yeah, it's all pretty nuts and horrific. It's a kind of uh the story focuses a lot on consumerism, capitalism, the human condition. What would it mean to be a person? And I'm really liking it. The prose kind of reminds me of I don't know if, actually not just the prose, but the way it's written definitely reminds me of the film and the book Under the Skin.
Okay.
ScarJo, Scarlett Johansson. This weird otherworldly alien kind of world where, and in that, this I don't think this is a spoiler, but in Under the Skin, humans are being essentially farmed for meat as well. So there's some similarities there. Uh, yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Nearly finished it. It's quite a short read, but I've seen it on a lot of people's lists. It was published in 2017, but I've seen a lot of people mention it. Um, yeah, I recommend it if you like your
Okay.
post-apocalyptic, near future, weird stuff. It goes in some kind of obvious directions sometimes, but at the same time, the description of like a slaughterhouse, for example, is pretty insane. Like just the detail it goes into.
Okay.
Um,
Might have to check. Might have to check that out.
yeah,
Add it to
and
the
it'll make you
extensive
feel it.
reading list.
It'll make you feel ever so hungry. No, it won't. It didn't make me feel hungry at all. The opposite. What's the opposite of hungry? Full. It made me feel. It made me feel full.
Oh, ever so full.
I'm ever so full. I should really stop eating this. And watching no horror. I haven't watched anything. I watched Almost Famous, which isn't horror at all, but one of my favorite films. I haven't seen it in a few years. Thought I'll watch that again. The only thing horrible about that is that the fictional band Stillwater aren't real because I'm always going, oh, this song's a banger. I
Get
love
their
this song.
stuff.
I want to get their stuff. I want to be a big fan. And you can get hold of a couple of their songs, but of course, fictional. Jason Lee as the singer man in that, and also what's his name? Dr. Manhattan. What's Dr. Manhattan's name? From 2007's Watchmen.
Now you've asked. I'll never pull that name again now. All I'm
It's
thinking of is
difficult.
like obviously, and now all I can think of is obviously wrong things. It's like Stanley Tucci. It's not
Billy Crudup.
Billy Crudup. That's it.
Yeah. Great cast, great soundtrack. Philip Seymour Hoffman's in it as well. Um, Kate Hudson, 20 years old in that. Couldn't believe it. Yeah, that's good. No horror though. Have you watched any horror?
A couple for
Oh.
you, Ben. First, it was one that hit our lists, and we were talking about it towards the end of last year. I don't know if you've
Hmm.
seen it or not. I don't recall if I saw it on your letterbox. Have you got round to watching Slaughterhouse,
No, I didn't get round to that for some reason.
where the killer sloth is in like a sorority house
Yeah,
and is doing some murders? I feel like when this came out, it got fairly heavily panned
yeah,
by by critics.
it did, didn't it? Yeah,
It did. I'm gonna go out there and say I didn't dislike it at all. In my anything
oh,
can be good mantra, which I'm beginning for the year,
yeah,
which will probably last until I have reason to be negative about something. Um, yeah, it's very silly, but it's called Slaughterhouse, and it's about a sloth that kills
yeah, yeah,
people.
yeah.
So
Is it a
it's
slow moving sloth?
no, it's really fast. It's
Oh,
really fast, and it uses a samurai sword at one point, and it uses the internet, and it takes selfies,
uses the
and
internet. What's it
it,
doing on
te-
the
it
internet?
looks up where the hospital is, where it can finish off. Like so, it can't. It doesn't just use the internet. Like it actively shows evidence
Wow,
that it can read and write. Um,
that's kind of scary. Is it
it's
like
uh, it,
is it like someone in a
it's very
suit?
funny. No, it's a little puppet. It's the
Oh,
size of a regular sloth.
it is.
Um, it's
Jesus.
it's very funny. It's very silly. It has all of like the teenage trope characters that you're gonna get. Everyone in it looks like they're having a lot of fun. Um,
Yeah. I
if
mean,
if you think the title Slaughterhouse is too silly, it will be too silly for you.
yeah.
But yeah, it was a good laugh. I thought this was pretty fun. It was a good casual background watch. It was perfectly
I'm
entertaining.
assuming it claws people to death, right?
Yeah, but not only there's
Why is
other
it?
bits where it gets them with accessories and so on. It
Why is it
suffocates
kill?
someone with a pillow. It does all
Why
sorts of
is it?
things.
Why is it killing people? What's its problem?
It's been taken out of its natural environment. Then it's furious,
Oh, okay, that's fair enough. How
poached out
come
the
it?
jungle.
How's it fast then?
Just is. Like it just it's a real the nun situation, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they kind of put it out there like, oh, these are the bits you don't see on nature documentaries. Maybe they are just incredible predators, and
Ah,
it's kept a secret. You don't see this.
yeah. Just slow down when cameras are around, but everywhere else, super
Yeah,
speedy. Wow.
yeah. I
Uh
watched that, and then I also dived on to talking about it a bit recently with films like Black Mold coming on today. I've been on Tubi again, Ben, to
oh, very
delve
nice.
into their ever growing range of horror films that they are from. They've got a good little home for horror going on over there. And having seen some people post about it in some, well, the makers post about it in some independent film
Hmm.
um, pages on the internet, I dived in to watch Murder Size, which
Okay.
is a schlocky set in the 80s around people filming like a sleazy exercise video where they're more interested in basically ogling the women with the camera rather than
Yeah.
and there's got a seedy producer and there's all kinds of shady things on there. It doesn't quite go as heavy and the comedy isn't that very trauma style, but it is in that school, that kind of direction, right?
Yeah.
Super low budget, but I had a good laugh with it as well. Like there were some entertaining bits in it, and where it got it for me, minor spoilers if you're going to watch it, but it's called Murder Size and it's a silly film, so I don't think you'll be too shocked. There is a brilliant bit in it where there's a character who it comes across as like clearly going to be horrible bloke trying to chat up the women who's perving on them all. He's basically got like a background job, like he's fixing the lighting and offering to get them cans of Coke, and then just a
Fancy
brilliant
a
bit
titty?
where this brilliant bit with this turned for me where one of the women invites him backstage and is coming on to him, like, what are you talking about? I want to be a professional filmmaker. This would be entirely inappropriate. It's really, really funny. It's really, really good. Yeah, it's silly, it's schlocky, it's I guess faux exploitative because it's very knowing in that sense. So it has like those Troma sensibilities about it.
Yeah.
But it's a fun little low budget movie. And again, as I mentioned before, get on Tubi, which is getting all sorts of good horror stuff. Cost you nothing apart from an occasional advert. About once every half an hour, I got one ad.
Oh, sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah, not
Get
bad at
yourself
all.
invested.
Couple of fun little bits.
Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
I feel like I'm
Yeah,
having
so
a
I'm a
silly start to the year with
very
Murder Size
silly,
and
incredibly
Slaughterhouse.
silly, and it has made me want to watch both of those films. So I'm not going to complain. I
Give me
think.
go. Oh, tell you what, Ben, I'm letting it go. The star of last year. I've been catching up on his telly program. I'm 6 episodes into Monarch: Legacy of Monsters
Oh,
now.
I need to get on it. I think we
It's all
mentioned it
right.
last week. Enjoying it?
Yeah, it's good.
Any? How much Godzilla we getting?
Not
Lots.
much. A bit of Godzilla.
A little bit of Godzilla.
I've seen
Most.
by episode 6. I've seen Godzilla a couple more times now.
Yeah.
Um, but he's
Any
very
other
much like a
monsters?
thing that's happening. Yeah, there was a good episode 4 has a cool monster in the cold, which is good.
Nice. Okay. I like it.
But yeah, like it's
Definitely I'm going
really
to check it
character
out.
driven. If you want end to end monster action, you'll be disappointed. But
Hmm. Yeah, but I feel like
I
after
like
God,
things. I like the stuff with the character driven stuff, and I like um, Wyatt Russell is obviously a key player in it. So it's after yesterday's film that I thought, oh, get caught up on that.
Big Bad
See what
Wyatt
Captain
Russell.
Bad America's up to.
Captain Bad America, what's he up to these days? He is striking a ball so hard. He basically is like Captain America, sending it flying. And he's having a lovely swim where he gets a bit too competitive in one bit and thinks, I'm just going to drown this boy.
Yeah, it gets too competitive with Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan slash, what does he call him? Uh, Steroid Shrek.
Steroid Shrek.
Yeah, that is, well, yeah, it's the film of the week which we're talking about, which is, are we all right
The
to
Night Swim.
move on to the Night Swim?
Yeah, I'm
The
ready.
Night Swim, also known as just Night Swim, uh, but which is a 2024, that's right, American supernatural horror film written and directed by Bryce McGuire in his feature directorial debut, based on the 2014 short film of the same name. It stars Wyatt Russell, Kerry Condon, and the plot is a woman swimming. Wait, that's not right.
Is that the plot of the short?
That's the plot of the short, but it's definitely the feature I've got open. This makes more sense. A suburban family discover that their backyard swimming pool is haunted. Can you believe it? Haunted by what? I kind of like the idea of like haunted objects or like haunted
Things.
things or haunted like very small places. You know what I mean? I think that's cool. I like the idea of that. And I didn't watch a trailer for this. I kind of just got the vibe from like a 5 to 6 second TV spot or whatever it was.
Thing, yeah.
I kind of knew what to expect, and obviously it's Jason Blum and James Wan produced under their Blumhouse Productions and Atomic Monster banners, respectively, not together. Even though we did discuss the fact that
Corporate synergy.
corporate synergy. Oh, their merger happened on January 2nd. So really, this is kind of under that umbrella, right?
Yeah. Made under, released during.
Yeah, that's right. So it has got on IMDb 5 out of 10. That's 2.5 out of 5. Rotten Tomatoes, 25% audience score. That would be rotten. And a 44% critic score. They liked it a little bit more. Letterboxd, 2.1 out of 5. And some choice reviews from Letterboxd. Roger Walker says, this movie was super generic. A ton of plot lines that don't go anywhere. Takes itself way too seriously. And it's all forgettable as hell. 2 stars. Jacob Jardot says, you can tell it was a short film trying to be a full movie. 2 stars. It was a short film before, wasn't it? And then Andy Panda, it's not you,
No
is it?
relation.
Basically like the Amityville Horror, but with a pool. 2 stars. These are all 2-star
Yeah.
reviews. I did manage to find a 3.5-star out of 5 review. So a 7 out of 10. A Christian feminist allegory about the benefits of aquatic PT? Question mark, exclamation mark. Gibber says that. That's not a slur, is it? Just I don't want to say it out loud.
Not that we're aware of.
Not that we're aware of. So that's, it looks like people aren't entirely into it. But, January horror movies, I think like it is a kind of unwritten rule that films released in January, horror films don't always do so well. But as we mentioned, Mafregan last year, Megan Mafregan was pretty good. Made your top 10. We enjoyed it.
Beloved.
Beloved. This is, I guess, like my enjoyment of James Wan horror movies and the Blumhouse horror movies is kind of middling. It's not always been great. I mean, I like some bits of the Conjuring universe, but not all. Um, does this kind of just fall into that sort of area where it's just like a bit undercooked, shall we say? Undercooked, like a hot dog at a pool party when a terrible event happens and you take it off the grill accidentally.
Yeah, a couple of things that immediately struck me with this film. Then maybe in a minute we'll pause and talk about some of the cast. You've already conjured some of the things. I'm going to put some more comparisons in your mind, Ben. Yes, in hindsight, I do think it feels like maybe a short film that had a solid idea, a bit like Lights Out previously, of like very similar ilk, where
Yeah,
really, really strong particular scene potentially, or a little scare that then maybe they have mixed successes in expanding out elsewhere.
yeah,
Having just done a run of Amityville films, I absolutely agree that it does follow on certainly the later sequels of Amityville, where there is basically a cursed or haunted item that they're then going to focus
what kind
the
of item?
scares
Toilet.
the scares around. So the ones we've seen in Amityville, I've seen mirror, lamp, dollhouse, clock. Um, but based on if you just type Amityville into your letterbox, everyone, it appears you can get
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff: toilet, dildo, Emmanuel, all these things. Um, so definitely that. And something
Yeah.
that I think I don't know if it will make you feel more positively about it, Ben. You know what this reminded me of?
Go on.
This was just a couple of investigative FBI people away from being an X Files episode.
Yeah, that did cross my mind.
Can you
That did
imagine if you
cross
had
my
this
mind.
family, but you had Mulder and Scully investigating, and Mulder's like, "Yeah, I think it's an ancient water spirit, and basically it grants wishes, but it always demands a toll." And then Scully's like, "I don't know about this, Mulder," and then Mulder's right the whole time, and
Yeah, bloody hell, Mulder.
but she
They've all
never
got
believes him the next time.
they both got massive coats on, even though it's in the middle of summer. I was kind of glad that this wasn't just like, oh, someone died in this pool and now this person's haunting it. I'm glad that there was a little bit more mythology surrounding it, even though the mythology was a bit muddled, I think. I think you easily could have like doubled down on it and had some serious like it could have easily had some serious J horror vibes. There's a bit with some hair
Yeah,
where I was a bit like,
there is a bit of J horror visualization to it. My
yeah,
major problem and thing I want to talk about has to come up later. I think it is best placed after we've discussed the plot in full,
mm,
but it's left the same taste in my mouth a little bit as Smile at the end. Little spoiler for anyone who's been following along. But
yeah. Did you
talk
also?
about that later.
I've seen this also compared to, and not compared in a good way, but almost like Poltergeist or like The Shining
Yeah,
light,
fair.
where they've literally just gone family in a new house. Obviously, not so much The Shining, but more the Poltergeist and The Shining. The reason is because dad goes bad.
Dad goes bad, except
Dad
in
goes
this one,
bad.
doesn't have some bad tequila. Um, just drinks a bit of pool water, doesn't he?
Has a little bit of pool water down his neck, and we've all done that. When we're swimming, we've all gone swallowed a bit of pool water. You're like, who knows what could have been in that? I'm glad it's not some sort of weird spirit thing. And I guess yeah, the X
Ghost, so you just
Files.
fucking love the water. Can't get enough of it.
I'm gonna drink this old pool right down. Also, yeah, X Files episode, yes, with the sort of like your eyes going black when you're kind of like possessed by this water thing. I think it was just a bit. It was a bit muddled. Like I don't think I always knew what like the end game was, and I don't think the characters knew until the characters said outright, "This is what it is." And
Yeah,
now,
and
even though I've just come to terms with this fact, I'm immediately going to double down on it and commit fully to being a part of it, which doesn't really make any sense. You're just like, what? There's got to be another way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we'll get to it, but yeah, the ending. There's a moment where it's almost like there are two characters who are kind of experiencing the same thing. One of them seems to just be fine. The other one doesn't seem to be fine. But in order for that one to be fine, the other one has to like sacrifice
Yeah,
himself.
and I bring
Almost-
that and I bring that up at the end because I've got some
Yeah.
thoughts on that. But where do we? Oh, tell you what. Before we get into the plot, let's talk performances here. So we've already mentioned him by name, Captain Badmerica himself, Wyatt Russell.
Yeah.
Seems that his star is definitely on the rise on this one. So he has, obviously prestige family. He's from an acting family. Kurt Russell's actual son plays the same character as Kurt Russell in Monsterverse in different periods of time.
Oh, okay. That's what's happening. I see.
Yeah, so
That's
in the Apple
interesting.
series, it's like in
Yeah.
the past, he plays a young version of the character, and then present day he plays Kurt Russell as an
That's
older
cool.
version. It's really cool. It's a
That
cool
is cool.
idea. You've seen him
I
in what's it named, Captain America and the Winter Soldier. You've seen him as Captain Bad America,
Yeah. Black Mirror.
and
He's in the episode
oh,
Playtest,
I've not
isn't he?
seen that one yet.
He's in Overlord. Um,
Oh yes,
yeah, which is good. He's in lots of things, isn't he? And I think genuinely everything I see him in, I'm always like, I like this guy. I'm glad he's in this. I enjoy his skills. He's pretty good as bad Captain America and Falcon and Winter Soldier. He's very hateable. There was, if you remember, there was a picture of him when he first came out as Captain America, clean shaven. He just looked insane. He didn't look like the same
yeah.
man. He just looked like a complete different guy. Um,
My only thing
but
with
yeah,
White Russell is I think I don't know what it is. He doesn't have like the edginess maybe of his dad. You don't need to, but I think they're maybe
yeah.
steering him towards slightly more flawed or villainous roles. When actually it strikes me that he's
What a
quite a
nice man.
face, quite a nice man.
I agree with that, and I feel like out of everyone in this, including the kids, it was Wyatt Russell's performance that I was least taken with. I didn't find him to be all that menacing when he was supposed to be menacing. I didn't kind of like feel sorry for him when he's got quite a bad illness and he's losing his baseball career. His family life's kind of like a bit tough and stuff. I don't know. I don't think there was enough to this character. This character felt very just he was just there, wasn't he? He was just existing for
Yeah, but I'd
plot.
argue that's more of the it's more of the content he has rather
Yeah, yeah.
than his ability to deliver that.
Mm.
Um, because I think at moments when he does do things, I think that works. I think that works very well.
Hmm.
I think he does some good physical stuff in this. He does. But it just strikes me as I don't think they give the character quite enough agency. But
No, it was
I'll
the
come back to
character
that.
definitely. There
Kerry
was that
Condon, what do you think?
great. I thought she was great. I really liked her as a almost like the mum from The Ring, and by that I mean the American Ring, Naomi Watts when she's like doing a bit of investigating. I don't think the central mystery was anywhere near as interesting as it could have been. It kind of seemed to just unfold and then right, okay. And I like the investigating stuff. I like that she was a very hands-on hands-on mother, like in terms of like saving her kids when they were in peril. Immediately believing them, it was
Yeah,
frustrating in these films when characters, I don't bloody believe you, and then watch their kids get slurped off under the water,
under the pool because I didn't believe him. Yeah,
under the pool. Also, how many times are we gonna see a pool cover? A pool cover in some sort of state of like not quite over the pool and someone reaching in to grab something. And you go, they're gonna fall in, they're gonna get tangled up in it. It's
yeah.
more hassle than it's worth.
And as we see in the openings, it just do it in the morning.
Yeah. Also, there's like a couple of interesting little bits that this film seems to just dangle in front of you, and it doesn't follow up on them. Like particularly a bit where I'm like, is there some sort of like time travel involved? The reason I was thinking that
Yeah,
was about a baseball, something like that. Um, but unfortunately, I just think the central mystery isn't all that interesting. The central threat doesn't feel all that interesting. It's really like generic, spooky ghoulies in the pool, like a boglin and some sort of
I wonder what the written,
insidious faces. You know, like from the first one, all those.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, gooey faces. I wonder what the written version of this would look like because it strikes me with like things like you mentioned, the potential time travel bit or the
yeah,
gathering of items. It feels like if this was a Stephen King book, which it isn't, um,
yeah.
this would be the one where in 1,000-page thick doorstop,
Mm.
there's all sorts of
There'd be a whole 200-page
back
section
matter.
back before there was a neighborhood built here.
Yeah,
You know, like Pet Cemetery style.
yeah.
We would have
There'd
got,
be
we would have
there'd
got,
be there'd be a ton of stuff in there, and it would have the time travel. The entity would have a name, and it'd be the reappearance of different items that are significant to people's lives and how it connects to them. Because
yeah.
water everywhere, as the phrase goes. Like it could show that connectivity, but
Mm.
the film, I either think, lacks the capacity to be able to show us that,
Yeah.
or it just simply doesn't have the time to do so.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of like it just feels the fact there was a short first, you think like, oh wow, I've got a chance to make a feature based on this short. We can add so much more to the story and stuff, but it still feels quite one dimensional, doesn't it? It's like haunted swimming pool, yeah. What
And
but why?
we've got a set piece for that. I haven't, maybe I'll try and seek it out. I'm not sure where it's available, but the short after this, I imagine the short must be.
I think it's on YouTube. I
Uh,
think
I'm going to
like
place my bets before I go and watch it. I feel like it's going to be the Marco Polo game.
the Marco Polo scene is going to be it, isn't it? Yeah, you can
Yeah,
kind of, and that was kind of like the trailer as well. So the trailer was almost like, here's the hook essentially. This is the hook.
yeah. It's going to be the Marco Polo game or potentially the drain bit.
Yeah, draining the pool. This was a weird one for me because you know what I like doing on TikTok. I like watching people who like clean pools that have been out of use for years. I feel like we missed all that. I feel like all we got at the end was some leaves being like brushed up right at the end, and I want to see the power washer out. I want to see the filters being changed. I want to see all the chemicals going in. When he had the little
You're going to see him getting the hair
pH thing,
babies out.
yeah. When he was getting a pH thing out, I was like, oh, yeah, this is the best bit. Checking the old
Make sure those
pH
levels are
level.
right.
Right, guys, the pH level's fine. Let's get in. Let's get in and start diving for coins, like the kid in what advert was that where someone was
Oh,
diving for?
it's like Legal and General or Cheltenham and I think it's Cheltenham and Gloucester. I was
Yeah,
doing that in the cinema. I was showing you the picture now. I was in the
he
cinema by
looked a bit like
myself,
the kid, didn't
so I could hold my breath and go
he?
and divers in those big suits trying to get you while you're trying to get those pearls. Always watching that advert, I would try and hold my
Great
breath for the
advert.
duration of the
Yeah,
advert.
could you do it?
Oh, it's really hard.
No, sorry, this
But I felt
guy's
like I didn't have the motivation that if I couldn't hold my breath, I'd drown, whereas that kid did.
yeah. I've kind of liked the performances from both the kids. Like,
Yeah,
I
they were
think
both really good.
they could have easily gone a different way with it. Like at one point, there's like it's weird. There's a little bit of tension between the kids, and at one point, the older girl says something a bit mean to him. But apart from that, they seem like a sort of a good sort of modern brother and sister.
Actually,
Because
just they annoy each other a bit, but overall get on reasonably well.
overall, get on reasonably well and like believe each other when it comes to this particular moment, and almost like support each other as well.
Yeah,
Um, which is good. I like that, and I've seen a couple of comments saying that, like the performances of those two wasn't particularly good. I thought it was fine. It was suitable for the film, and I felt
yeah.
like
Give me kids that aren't overacting. Like I don't need every child or teenage character to either be like Sandra D or absolute psychopath Henry Bowers. Carve your name in some kid's stomach.
yeah,
Like
100%.
just be normal kids, and I think
Just be
they
normal
struck a
kids,
nice balance
and
on this
these
one.
kids, and this the boy in particular was doing things that like kind of made sense. It wasn't like he when there's a kid of that age in a horror film, usually you're like, oh, come on, why are you doing that for, you idiot? He kind of like he knows. I think what made sense about this film is that they knew when to get out the pool because there have been so
Yeah,
many there were so many plot holes where you would have gone, well, just get out. and people were getting out of the pool, and it kind of, I don't know, it went
Yeah.
and when people had officially had an experience in the pool, that they rarely got back in unless it was like an accident or
Yeah,
so.
unless they got slurped into there by
So
the
it made
magic
sense,
pool.
yeah.
Yeah, there were some interesting bits in this one, and I particularly love. Well, I know we'll save that for later because it's relevant to a part of the story.
Okay.
So we begin, as oftentimes we do, in a flashback. It's the
Yeah.
distant, distant past of 1992.
Did it say it was 1992?
I think it does, yeah,
It does, because I didn't realize.
or
So
93. It's like the
it's a
early
little bit
90s,
later.
effectively.
Yeah, it says 1992. So
Oh, I remembered it well.
there's
Right,
there's like a family, and there's a boy in bed like unwell, and then
it's
there's
a
a
hospital
girl.
bed, isn't it? He's got like a ventilator
Yeah,
and stuff.
he's got like a ventilator, and then a girl says something about, "Oh, I've seen your boat. It's out in the swimming pool."
Yeah, because a
Um,
boat we
Little
see
toy
just
boat.
appears at the top of the water. It just sort of appears from nowhere,
Yeah,
right?
just like, yeah, essentially, it's not in the pool originally, and then it just pops out. Again, like haunted items and stuff. This item seems to be present when there's some sort of supernatural occurrence in and around this pool. Um, and this is like a classic. We kind of know what's going to happen. It's the opening sequence. We're here to, it's here to set up a horror film. Girl in her slippers and pajamas, reaching to get the boat, obviously falls in. And we get like a nice little fake out as well. We're like, oh, she's all right, actually. She made it to the edge. Oh no, she's got to go
She
back
goes,
out
"Oh,
to get the
I'll go back out to get the boat."
Yeah, I'll go back out and get it. Come on. Um, yeah, and that's it essentially. We don't really see much in terms of what the unseen force is, but it just pulls her underwater. Does it speak? I think it speaks at
No,
one
we
point,
see
doesn't it?
some figures around the side of the edge, well, like unclear figures.
Yeah,
And then I want to be very clear in this one. The mysterious pool doesn't drown the little girl. She is just gone by the thing, right? She's
she
not
just
there
vanished.
anymore.
Yeah, she's just vanished.
And just a slipper is hanging about there.
Yeah, and we see the point of view from like the house where we see her kind of like splashing around. And in this moment, I was like, why is no one aware of what's happening? And this kind of gets just explained for us a little bit later.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's gone, and one slipper's gone as well, but one slipper remains.
Yeah. Just floating on the surface as evidence. I guess is just a little clue. So now that's it, got her.
Yeah,
She is gone. And that's just that cold open.
that's just
And
our cold
then
open. Yes.
we go to the present day. We quickly learn we see the Waller, we see the Waller family, and we're fairly swiftly shown that they are looking for another house because he is ill. You see him having like he sends his family on ahead. He has to go and get his walking stick out of the car. He's a little bit unsteady on
Mm.
his feet, and they're going to look at some looking at some properties, and it's clear that the description is being given by the real estate agent that oh, there's handrails all around the thing. All the bedrooms are on the ground floor. This is a house
Yeah.
basically built for someone who has a mobility issue, and
Yeah.
there's a wheelchair even in
That's right. Yeah.
the
It's not quite.
welcome.
It's not quite an assisted living place, but it's almost like the next step along from that, where like
Yeah,
you
it's
can.
like it is like a home, but it's a home that is designed to cope with, for you to be able to live with a physical disability, right? And we learn
Yeah.
when he goes to a hospital appointment, fairly short order, that he has an MS diagnosis,
Yeah.
which is not a
Degenerative
stable one, but
disease.
which is a progressive form
Yeah.
where he's going to continue to get worse.
Yeah. And yeah, a successful baseball player who obviously had a pretty big baseball career, but was forced to retire due to illness. We get some sort of like flashbacks occasionally, moments where he's like swinging for the ball. Um, and it seemed like he'd been away for a while, and he did try and go back to baseball, but it just didn't work out. Um, so yeah, this house I think seems lovely, but I think initially Ray says he doesn't want to live somewhere. He doesn't want to be a sick person anymore. He doesn't want to live in that house. It's basically a hospital, he says. And
Yeah,
they see it, and they see another house when they're just driving around the neighborhood, right?
yeah, and they immediately must be one of those towns where there's like one real estate agent sees everyone because the same lady is shown around that. Oh, I would have showed you this one, but this is for
Yeah,
sale, not a rental.
And they've
Um,
gone, it's all right. Don't worry about
and
it.
actually, it needs loads of work done. It needs things doing. The pool's all drained. With this, and then they're looking at. They see they've got a pool outside, and this is where we get another incident of someone falling into the pool. So Ray sees a knackered old bull down the side of the on top of the pool cover. He reached over and touched it, falls in,
Knackered oval.
and he almost gets unbreakable, doesn't he? He goes through the pool cover and is getting all
Oh
tangled
yeah, of
up in it.
course. Yeah, but then this Bruce Willis when he fell in that he was already scared of water
Yeah,
already.
it's his kryptonite, though, isn't it?
It was
He's
his
weak to
kryptonite.
it.
He was wearing a poncho and it was raining. Now, I
Three
guess
types.
Wyatt Russell, I guess Wyatt Russell is on a even keel with that because he's obviously poorly.
Yeah,
Um, how many times have you ever fallen in a pool, like
never with a pool cover on.
unprompted, like pushed in a pool? What's your favorite? What's your favorite pool fall in? Right? Because I remember this time where someone was reporting on BBC News, and they were I can't remember what they were reporting on, but they were like essentially in a swimming pool with like five people were kind of like had their legs in the pool, and this reporter was going along talking to them each way, and then he misjudged how deep the pool was. There was obviously a step, and he just goes from chatting to them like yeah, and he just goes submerged immediately. There's no middle ground. He goes from standing having a lovely time, submerged, and he had like his little mic pack on his back that
Oh
was
no.
floating and stuff.
Um, I
I'll
feel
find the link
like
to it. It's funny.
I feel as a test of an actor, being able to fall into a pool convincingly has got to
Oh!
be one of the ultimate tests. Because I've seen the people trying to pay their oldie off with "You've Been Framed" things, where they're like, "Oh, I've accidentally slipped into the pool."
Oh
Wacky.
no!
I
Yeah,
think that's a real test. If
classic.
you as an actor can pull off, because obviously you are going to fall into it on purpose, actively falling into a pool, I reckon that's a real skill you're
Yeah,
showcasing.
and obviously always terrifying when a pool cover is involved because you get like, and there's all leaves in the pool and everything as well. Like it's not
There's
pleasant.
almost branches dragging him down, aren't they? But
Yeah,
then he has a
it's all
baseball memory.
yeah. I've had a bloody baseball memory here, mate. And it
Sometimes
what
that's
bring?
what I do when I'm about to drown. Just go, oh, let's have a sporting memory.
Do you remember when what's his name? Who was the ski jumper guy?
Eddie Beagle Edwards.
Eddie Eagle Edwards. Do you remember when he did that in the Olympics? That was quality, wasn't it? And then you just come straight out like, I'm Eddie Eagle. I'm alive.
Having never been in the Olympics myself, I have to have someone else's
Well, that's what
memories.
I do. Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah.
I've got no good sporting memories. Not really. Like taking a foul throw and everyone pointing and laughing at you. No.
Ben falls into a swimming pool. It's like, remember that time Stephen Hendry had 107 break at snooker? Only 17 at the time.
Yeah, what a legend.
What?
Hang
He
on a minute.
comes out.
There's a 16-year-old darts player on TV. I love it. It's just what a time to be alive. Um,
Comes
yeah,
back
that's how I
up.
survive. It's almost like he gives up though. I'm almost like he has a look in his eyes where he's like, "This is it. This is the end." Does someone
I
reach in and
fall in
grab
a
him?
pool when there's loads of people around. No,
Oh, he gets out
the the,
himself, doesn't
the
he? Yeah.
kids go find him like as they go, oh bloody hell, dad's fallen in the pool. They all rush over, um, and
Yeah.
they
Real estate woman, totally useless. All right. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? Says something like the pool hasn't been used for like 15 years. It wasn't used by the last people who lived there for some reason. Maybe they weren't pool people, I think she says at one point.
yeah,
Um,
I know what you mean. You see that pool, like I'd have been like that. Like even if I bought a house with a pool, the state of that one, 'cause it was all drained and all manky, you'd be like, can't be
bloody
bothered.
hell. Can't be
It's a
asked.
hassle.
I'm sure I've...
Um, but they effectively decide to buy the house after a trip to the hospital, scheduled appointment, nothing to do with falling in the pool. But they go
Yeah.
along, and the doctor says, you know,
Yeah.
I know we thought you were stable, but things appear to have progressed. I will do some more tests, and this is a line that I'm going to come back to later. She reminds them that there can be, they can have a happy life together, and they can enjoy their lives, but it requires some changes and some sacrifices.
Yeah.
And then she sort of suggests that that Ray's going to have to use a wheelchair for a little while, and he kind
Mhm.
of as they're going out, this is where he has the conversation. We mentioned, I don't want to be a sick person,
Yeah.
and let's buy that bloody house. I can do some swimming practice because they mentioned swimming as a good exercise you can do.
Yeah, they go. You can do some lovely water aerobics, and you'll build up your muscles, and you'll be back to playing baseball in no time. I don't think they say that. They say
Yeah, they just say
you'll
you should do some exercise. It's good for your health.
yeah
Try something low impact like swimming, doing your acroaerobics like at 10 o'clock, like in the mornings whenever you go on a holiday. They're always doing the acroaerobics in the pool. Got them all out there.
What are you doing? You're on holiday. Relax. No, you got to get the reps in. Oh, for God's sake. Um, yeah. So they buy that house, don't they? And
Have a little
then
montage of doing it up, don't we?
a little montage of doing it up. We see the pool getting like we don't really see much other than like as I said, some leaves getting like. I kind of wanted to see the whole process, but maybe that's just me. Um, there did some pool maintenance guy like comes over to inspect it as well. Oh, just before Ray like puts his hand in the drainage thing and like
Use a
it
stick,
says
Ray.
it says here scratches his hand, but like it's proper horrible. It's like impales his hand essentially.
Yeah, it takes a big slash out of his hand.
Use a stick or get one of those little tools. You know, little tools you put down the plug hole in your bath to get all the
Oh,
hair
tell
out.
you what, Ben.
Get a big industrial one of them.
One of my favorite tools that I have.
100%. It's great.
Love the plumbing snake.
It's
Oh,
so
ever so
satisfying, isn't it?
satisfying. You want your sink draining nicely. You send that little bad boy down there. Yeah, snake him down the pipe as
Take
far
him
as you
down
can go.
there.
I like to see how far I can get him. He's got a little spirally hook on the end so he can catch all the
Yeah,
hairs.
that's
Then you
good.
fish him back out.
Get a handful of
Gross,
them.
disgusting, the
It's
worst,
it's
but
gross and disgusting, but
ever
it's
so
it's that
satisfying.
when the plug when the water's running nicely down the plug hole, it's great.
Oh, the dream.
You used in combination with a plunger as well, just to get that
Oh,
residual waste out.
yeah, get the plunger there. I tell you what, you want to put some of those caustic things down there first. Get some really
Oh my
dissolve the
God.
excess,
Now you're bloody talking. What you don't want to do is get your bloody hand down there, like willy nilly, and just touch any old
like
sharp
Ray
object
does.
like Ray does. And then a load of horrible, dark, gunky water comes out, and I think everyone says, "Is this supposed to happen?" That's a
Yeah,
bit,
and they phone the
bit
pool
nuts.
going, because actually, turns out that you've got the best pool ever. This is
Yeah,
filled by a natural spring. So
filled by
actually,
natural spring, really good for your skin.
basically, it's really good for everything. Basically, this water's Calpol. It's going to be you've got a naturally
Yeah,
heated Calpol pool,
yeah, he says
which
stuff
will
like that,
basically
doesn't he?
heal
Like,
anything. Ever so good for you.
yeah, naturally heated,
Naturally
fil- naturally
antibiotics, no
filtrated or
micro.
something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah, filtered.
Um, taking its water from some sort of like underground spring area. Apparently, like years ago, people used to bathe in the springs and like something. I don't know. This pool guy knows all about that. Who knows? Um, but yeah, and essentially we just get a cut away to Wyatt Russell putting the
Checking the
old
pH.
pH,
Checking the pH.
checking the pH balance. Um, saying it's time, let's all get in, and then all the family jump in the pool. We get a nice little montage, some slow-mo moments, and then they start playing a game of fetch the quarter, which I feel like would be fun for about three or four goes, and I'll go, enough now.
I feel
Let's
like you're
stop talking
losing
about
pennies in that pool any second because
yeah,
honestly, Wright Russell and his wife making out like Meowth and they're doing their paydays. They're like chucking coins bloody everywhere.
yeah. And this little kid's trying to do it always in one breath as well, which I feel like is dangerous. He's gonna overcompensate. Something's gonna happen, which of course maybe it does.
Little pennies like dropping in above his head like someone's trying to shoot James Bond.
Yeah. It looked like the opening sequence of Saving Private Ryan at one point. I
Yeah.
was like, bloody hell, Jesus.
And of course, he
Um,
Wright Russell's a baseball player. Probably whaz those pennies really hard.
oh yeah, he's got no like off switch, has he, for that old swinging arm when it goes back to full power. So essentially, yeah, Ray is spending more time in the pool as part of his therapy. He's doing some water aerobics. He's swimming a lot, and then a little bit of time goes past. I think his wife at one point, Eve, looks out and he's going absolutely flat out.
Oh, that's
He's
a bit
flying up and
later.
down. Is that a little bit
She has a
later?
swim. She has a swim first, but I think this is the first realization. So as the family move in, we see they have a cat called Cider,
Oh yeah,
and typical fashion, Cider doesn't like the pool.
Yeah.
And he's a cat. Cats don't like swimming. Think no more of it. The first scare we get is the wife. So she's out for a late night. She's doing a night swim, the
The
titular night
first
swim.
scare we get is the wife.
Yeah.
Steady. And when she walks onto screen, ah!
Yeah, fucking hell. No, she's, I'm sure, a lovely person.
Yeah.
She's not scary at all, just a normal woman. So the first scare we get comes
Oh, yeah.
at the point of the wife. So she's going for a swim at night. She's doing a titular night swim. And she's just blazing away doing lengths. And we get some sort of first person view of her turning around in the water. And
I
then
don't
at
feel
one
like that's
point,
how. I
she
don't
gets a
feel like
little
that's how it
scare.
goes. I don't think that's how
I
it goes when you
felt the
swim.
same. It's like, why is it going like that?
Yeah, you don't go like side to side to side. That's looking. You kind of like. I think you go down and then maybe you go up to get a breath and then down and down. I think you always go up the same side.
Yeah.
Even after that POV bit, I looked at her head and I went, "She ain't even doing that.
Should I head down?
She had her head down." Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Um, what happens?
yeah,
She
so
sees a
she
figure.
sees like a face and they goes, oh bloody hell, you scared me. Oh no, there's no one.
She just immediately assumes it's her husband, and that happens like a little bit later as well. Like the boy immediately assumes it's his dad, which I guess you would, wouldn't you? If you just saw a
Yeah.
figure, you just go, "Oh, it's the person I live with who also has access to this pool."
Yeah, but nothing like it scares her, and then the lights start flashing in the pool the same way as the little girl who got disappeared, got goned by the pool.
Oh yeah, the lights
But
were flashing, weren't they? Yeah.
she just makes a sensible choice, gets out.
Yeah, and again, that's pretty good. I think there are a lot of there are not entirely sensible choices, but I think in these early stages there are sensible choices, which are if you are feeling genuinely freaked out, you think, something terrible could be happening, just get out.
Feels a bit freaked out, goes and checks on the kids. They're both fine. They're both snoozing in bed.
Yeah.
Goes to see what Ray is up to. He's fallen asleep watching baseball. Because I tell you what, there's one thing, orgy of evidence that things that Ray loves, baseball. Can't get enough of it.
I absolutely bloody love baseball. Do you? Well, tell me what your favorite baseball is then. What's this
Yeah,
one?
what's your favorite baseball? This old one that I found in this pool.
This old one that's been smashed to bits.
So she thinks no more of it and goes to sleep. She starts a new job. She works at the office at the school. The kids are starting school. The daughter immediately makes friends. A delightful young fellow asks if she wants to join the Christian swim group.
Yeah.
Does the presence of a Christian swim group imply that there are other denominational swim teams in this school, or is there just an atheist swim group?
A demon worshipping, a devil worshipping swim group. Sounds fun. Yeah, and again, like this could have been creepy because he kind of goes, "Oh, put your arm up. Oh, you got a good wingspan. Come and join the swim team." And again, it's all quite nicey, and yeah, I like these little established relationships. I think they're
nice
pretty
little kids, but the son, like, I guess as an extension of the fact they've always been moving houses with the dad's former baseball career, struggles to make friends a little bit and is a little bit more quiet and reserved.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he even says something like, "Oh, it's going to be my year, isn't it, Dad?" Almost like he's been struggling with sort of playing baseball. I think he wants to play baseball like his dad, but he's been struggling.
But he's not naturally talented at it like his dad is.
Yeah, and yeah, so it's going to be his year, and obviously he's not made many friends over, which is kind of a bit sad, but seems like a nice kid.
Nice episode. Lovely wee boy. But unfortunately for them, they're both in for a couple of scares now. And I think the son is the next one to get one, right?
The son is the next one to get one, yeah. And a daytime scare, This is pretty good. It's a film called Night Swim, about a haunted swimming pool. And we get a good couple of moments where things go a bit wrong during the day.
He's gone for an afternoon swim, straight back from school, early evening swim at most.
Yeah, that's lovely though. I feel like, but get him from school. Can I have a little swim in the pool before I have to do my homework? Yeah, of course you can.
No, he's done all his homework, Ben. So he
done
establishes that. He goes, did all my homework in study hall. Can I go for a bloody swim? Mom goes, sure. Ask your dad. Said, "Oh, what if Dad fobs me off and doesn't get in the pool with me?" Well, and that's what he's doing. So he goes into the garage. Ray is pumping some iron. Oh no! You know what? Stick a pin in that, Ben. Reverse it. Unfortunately, we do have another victim. Cider, the cat.
Yeah, Cider the cat. Although we don't expressly see anything bad happen to Cider, but we just meant to assume, right? Is that right?
Yeah. Meant to assume that Cider's been slurped off because his collar is floating around the next morning, looking over the edge of the diving board at one point, and I guess it makes some dreamies appear in the pool and tempts him in.
Tempts him in, yeah. Again, we don't see it happen. We just see the color the next day.
We
And
see the
obviously
color the next day.
the family, but
Um,
in particular the little boy Elliot is upset because obviously he loves that cat. And they're all kind of going, "Oh, I'm sure he just fell in and got scared and jumped out," because the absence of the cat in the pool does suggest that the cat's got to be all right, right?
yeah, like
Been
there's not a
drowned.
drowned cat in the pool. He's just his collar is there and he has disappeared. But this is relevant at this point because Ray, while everyone's looking for him, remember just a minute ago, like the day earlier when he got his hand slashed up by the
Yeah,
pool drain, better, healed.
He's healed like bloody Wolverine, he has,
Yeah,
which is impressive.
and he immediately puts those two pieces of information together and thinks,
I'm a superhero now.
bloody pool's healed me.
The pool's bloody healed me. Yeah,
The
this
pool's
pool,
healed me.
this
And
pool's
all
healed
it
me.
requires is for me to sacrifice a certain number of cats to it.
Yeah,
Um, I
fantastic.
think it does imply from the look and the pauses and the shots we get of the water that it becomes immediately evident to him that it's something to do with the pool.
Yeah.
Um, and then before you know it, we go back to where we were. We have to jump back a little bit there. Ray is working out. He's getting stronger. He's got his baseball videos on. He's
Again, were there
lifting some
a few
weights.
bits like Unbreakable as well, like, especially when he was like lifting weights and stuff. I know he wasn't lifting weights like Bruce Willis was in Unbreakable, where he's lifting every weight, but still, like, it kind of felt like that sort of dynamic between the father and son, where it's almost like the son sort of in awe, looking at his dad, sort of like just regain his strength, essentially. Something that he's
Mhm.
obviously looked at him in a way where, like, my dad's been ill for this long, he's kind of losing his strength and becoming weak, but now he's getting it back, and he's almost looking at him in a different light.
Yeah, and he seems quite pleased with them. And Ray doesn't entirely fob him off. He says, "Oh, will you come for a swim with me?" And he draws a little smiley face on a quarter and says, "Chuck that one in, and I'm going to come and find it. Promise me you'll stay in the shallow end." I don't understand what he means because the fact that he drew a smiley face on it sort of indicates that I'll be back in a minute. Maybe just going to go and have a
Yeah.
rinse off before you get in the pool.
Yeah.
But what appears to happen is that he fucks off for ages.
Yeah. You know what happens, don't you? He just gets completely engrossed by whatever baseball he's watching. He's gone, I absolutely love baseball more than my own family. I've got to admit it.
Yeah, and the
I'm just
one
going to
thing I
watch
know
that.
about baseball is as exciting and compelling as it may be, I don't think it's like a don't think it's a quick game.
It takes bloody ages, does it? It's just bloody
I think it's
rounders, isn't it?
I think it's an all day thing. It's not like a rounders game that you do it in a PE lesson, 35 minutes and you're done.
Yeah. There we go. Takes all day. Um, so yeah, but while that's happening, Elliot is kind of like swimming around. He Someone like throws in one of the quarters and he like assumes it's his dad. He's like, "Oh, hi, dad." Nope, dad ain't
Oh,
there.
but he's a bass player. He could be throwing that from the other
He
side of
could
the
be
bloody
throwing it
house.
from the other side of the house. And then he just commits to, like, as the more quarters land in the pool, he just commits to it. He goes, "Oh, I suppose these quarters better get collected then." So he starts
in,
collecting them.
in as few breaths as possible.
He does it. Yeah, at one point he says, "I've done it in one breath." Um, I'm like, "Oh, all right, you're all right." And then he starts hearing a voice of somebody who immediately tells him their full name. "Oh, Rebecca Summers. Help me, I'm stuck in here." And this was obviously a moment that was kind of reminiscent of It, with Georgie putting his arm in the drain hole. This time he's in a pool, arm first, and we kind of see like a creepy hairy
To get his
hand
action figure, right?
to get his action figure. Yeah,
So
it is.
I've got your dolly. Is it there? Okay
It's a.
then.
I've got your dolly. It is a hairy hand. That's a British like story, isn't it? The hairy hands of
Yeah, the
Dartmoor
hairy
or something.
hand lives in Dartmoor. It makes you swerve your car if you're driving.
Get off me, you bloody hairy hands. Terrifying.
Yeah, it's not the hair. It's not that hairy hand though. It's a hand made of hair babies that get stuck in the drain.
Yeah, if you had the hooked drain snake, you'd be able to drag Rebecca Summers straight out of there.
Yeah, you'd be like Mortal Kombat. You'd be Scorpion in that pool. You wang your drain snake in. Come here, like yank her out,
Get over
bring her back
here.
from the
Get out
afterlife.
of
Oh,
there.
thanks ever so.
Thanks. I've been in there for bloody. So it says 15 years. So is this set like? I thought this was set just like in modern.
Yeah, they've got iPhones.
They got iPhones. So I mean, the 15 years must have been since someone last used the pool. Like 1992 as a flashback. Obviously, is even further away. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's happened in 1990. Yeah.
So that happens. He gets freaked out as you would, but he gets out the pool, and he immediately goes and tells his mum what a grass. Immediately goes and tells his mum what happened. And again, despite the fact that it's obvious no one's around, or no, she kind of believes him and thinks, "Oh, that's a bit weird. Why would he say that?" And when she tries to tell her husband, that
Because it's a barbecue.
he kind of fobs it off. He kind of says, "Oh, he used to talk to a gecko like years ago." After it died, and they were like, "Oh yeah, but when he was 5," and they're like, "Maybe he just made it up for a laugh." You know what I mean?
He's just, you know him,
Some
Elliot.
people do that. Some people make it up for a laugh. He talks to a gecko and he makes up a haunted pool ghosty girl. You know, and
Let's
yeah,
not dwell on the fact that I was meant to be in there with him and I wasn't because I was somewhere else.
you don't remember that. I don't think Ray is already completely enamored by the fact that this pool is healing him and he's going to be back on the baseball field quicker than you can say
Rebecca
Babe
Summers, the
Ruth.
ghost in the pool.
Rebecca Summers, Babe Ruth. Rebecca Summers, the ghost. And then yeah, the suggestion next is they're talking about making friends for Elliot, and they say like, why don't we have a pool party?
So
He's like, it's
barbecue,
always
and I
pool
tell
with
you what,
you. The answer's always pool. Why don't we do this with a pool? Why don't we do that with a pool?
yeah, he should
From
have
now on,
gone.
essentially.
He should have gone the other way and gone. Let's have a barbecue. I mean, it is next to our pool, but we can.
It is
It's
next to
called
our
a
pool, but
barbecue.
some people can get in the pool if they want. That'd be fine
Like,
if
if
they
people
want.
come with a swimming kit, I'm not gonna say no, but just
Swimming
goes,
kit.
"Oh,
What kind of swimming
let's
kit? Trunks.
yeah, get your shorts on."
Budgie smugglers.
No, he goes because let's put a cover on. So they do put a cover over the pool just for it to be a danger a bit later on because it never seems to be on apart from the time that Ghost tries to seal someone in there
Yeah.
later on, like an Indiana Jones door.
Yeah.
So for now though, they goes, all right, let's do that. But first he goes, okay, and I'm gonna come to baseball practice to see if I can't improve his prospects of making friends.
Yeah.
And you know what? Credit to around this one. He's ever so good with the kids. Like he goes to the baseball
Yeah.
practice. Reminds me a bit of the Black Phone, where just kids are bloody good sports, being nice to
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah, they are being nice to each other, aren't they? You got this, man. You got this. It's all
Yeah.
good. Stuff
And
like that.
the
Just good.
coach's son is really
Feel good
good, but
times.
the coach's son is really good. Elliot isn't bad. He hits the ball. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like yeah. Reminds me of my own school days. He hits it fine. Not amazing. Doesn't like smash it out the park or anything like that. But
Yeah,
he
but
does hit it.
first time, innit? Practice makes perfect, mate.
Yeah.
He does, and then says, Ray, why don't you have a little go for old time's sake? And he goes, I will, I will. Has a bit of trouble initially.
Yeah, you think
Misses.
maybe is he overdoing it a little bit? He like
Is he
spins out and
overdoing it?
falls
I kept
over.
thinking maybe there's something like where if he's far away from the pool, it doesn't
It's weakening
quite
him.
work.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I was kind of thinking about that.
But
But
what he
then
requires is just to have a little memory about the water.
he has a little memory, and then we get like he absolutely levers it. He twats it. He
Out the
absolutely
fields.
out the field breaks one of the floodlights. Like we get a little slow mo
Literally
shot of the
Team
ball.
Rockets it out of the district.
You'd be like, all right, mate, you missed the first one. The second one, you fell over. And the third one, you absolutely fucking
Creams.
It's like he absolutely creams it. Like, are you all right?
Yeah,
And
literally
but
like disappears out of existence, that ball.
but everyone's impressed, and everybody has a good laugh about it. Well, not a laugh, but everyone's like loving it. Whee, I can't believe it! Look at that, because he's a
So, right,
bit of a
see you at the
celebrity as well.
barbecue.
See you at the Barbie, mate. Yeah, see you at the
But the
Barbie.
little son, Elliot, seems dead sad because everyone's like, "Way, you're wicked, you are," and everyone goes a
Yeah,
bit. It feels like Ray.
he wants his dad
It's
to be
kind of
shit.
about him, right? It's everyone's like, "You are amazing," and his kid is like sort of
Yeah,
sad view from a
yeah,
distance.
mate. Yeah, just like that. Yeah. But so then we go to the pool party. One of the kids, well, the
Hang
son of the
on, day
coach.
before the party though, Ben.
What
Day
happens the day before the
before the
party?
party, Mom and Dad are going out. They're going to the cinema to something. They're off to see a
Oh
new film at
yeah, is that the
the
day before the
cinema.
party? They're gonna watch
Yeah, because
day paddle at the cinema.
yeah, off to watch Day Splash. Um, off to watch Day Splash. The cinemas one evening. So they they haven't got a babysitter, as is standard. The teenage daughter's going to have a boyfriend round. Don't worry though, he's a lovely Christian boyfriend on the swim team.
Yeah, he's a lovely
So all
Christian
he's
boyfriend.
interested in doing is having a bit of a play in the pool. His favourite.
Having a
Nothing
bit.
untoward going on.
I never played Marco Polo at any point. Is it just you have to close your eyes and they say Marco, you say Polo, and you got to try and what? Grab him and then what?
You got to
Beat him
try and
up,
catch him.
punch him, thump him in the face.
I guess it depends who you're playing with. If you're playing with a love interest,
Yeah,
obviously
don't
it's
thump him.
a non-sexual reason to grab them and go, "Oh, I've caught you in the pool."
I've bloody
Like,
caught you. I have. Oh yeah, you have. Oh no. Oh
oh
my
no, I
god.
was really trying hard to get this. How
But if
you
it was a
find out how competitive your dates are. If they're more interested in the game, they're silently trying to get to the edge of the water to get out, because that's what you can play. Because like I think playing Marco Polo, if they are trying to get out of the pool, and they go, bloody fish out of water. And you go, oh, busted, Stars, you got me.
busted. Oh, that's how the rules work. See, I didn't know. I didn't know that. I didn't know what that
Yeah.
meant. I thought it was just like a little, just a laugh. Do you know what I mean? Oh, fish out of water. Oh yeah, that's me. Um, yeah. So while they're playing Marco Polo, is a bit flirtatious. But then this, I mean, this is in the trailer. As the what's the kid called? I don't know.
The daughter or
The uh, the love interest is it Kay? Might be Kay.
his
No, that's
name
that's the lady.
is, put him
Um,
up here.
yeah, I'm not sure.
Bloody hell, he's low down this cast list. Where are you, mate?
Is it Angel? Someone called Angel as well. Ronan. Is that someone?
Someone called Ty, but he doesn't have a picture.
Oh Jesus.
This is
Anyway,
Izzy. Izzy's the daughter.
yeah. Izzy is the daughter. And at this point, obviously, she doesn't think anything's dodgy about the pool. But while that's happening, she gets like attacked and like dragged down into the pool by.
Yeah, are we led to believe that the love interest, possibly Ronan, possibly someone else, got out, or is this meant to be like an illusion?
Yeah, I guess like an illusion or something like that. Because at one point he says, "Oh, you're only underwater for a few seconds." So it's almost like time definitely seems to move differently when you're in. It's almost like the sunken place, isn't it? When you're in a sunken place, time moves differently. Almost why someone takes a big breath towards the end and the breath lasts forever. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
got down there for ages.
So maybe time moves differently. I don't know.
So basically, she's got her eyes closed, and it gets a bit sinister all of a sudden. We see, as far as we're concerned,
Yeah.
we see the boyfriend get out, but she's doing more Marco Polo, and it continues, and she moves towards sort of a bloated Boglin face, the old
Yeah,
Boglin
a
man.
weird bloated boggling face. It almost felt, I don't know, I felt like we were seeing these sort of ghouly faces quite early on. It almost felt like quite early in the um story to be properly seeing what these look like. There's a ghouly face. When do we see like a sort of ghouly lady face as
A
well?
skeletal, bony lady. I think that might be um, when um, when Elliot almost gets done by the hairy hand.
Oh yeah, that's right. Um yeah, so obviously we've seen a couple of creepy faces already, so we kind of understand it's not just one entity, it seems to be like a few. And I guess my assumption at this point was that all of these entities were like victims of the pool in a way. But we never really find out like why are they malevolent? Why do they want to bring people down with them unless they do the bidding of the pool, right?
Yeah, the
Is
special
that right?
magic water. But yeah,
Special
it's
magic
an
water.
odd this Boglin face. Um, and I'm not comparing visual effects teams before he blatantly does exactly that. But this looked a little bit almost cartoonish. It's quite like a algae
Bulbous
green
eyes.
color,
Yeah.
bulbous eyes that look like they could be stickers, like googly eyes that have been stuck on.
It felt
Um,
like something you'd see at a ghost train
yeah,
In Western Supermare on the pier.
but could you imagine if you had the corpse effects and what they were doing with a film like Talk to Me
Mm.
here in this one, where you don't need to rely on seeing it quickly. You leave them on there and you don't want them to be on for a long time because it's like, oh, you're horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess so. Yeah, that's true.
I think
But
a little bit of commitment to maybe a slightly different visual effect might have done this more for me. It was a bit, I think it was a little bit
yeah,
abstract for me,
a little bit
maybe.
abstract. Plus, a lot of the time it happened sort of like underwater, so you could never really like focus on what it looked like. I
Yeah.
guess I say that um, seconds after saying you saw it too soon, but I guess you didn't see it super clear. Um,
And it's playing
it,
Marco Polo with her effectively. It whispers
yeah,
polar in her ear. And then before you know it, she's been slurped off underwater and is not only under the pool, well, under the pool. It feels like the
yeah,
pool has like a doorway and then it actually goes on
yeah.
deeper and forever underwater, right? Like a cave network almost.
Yeah, and again, it looks like the sunken place, doesn't it? It's like this dark place that exists beyond, like the world that they live in is like up in this sort of like light or like a trap door essentially of light that drops down into this like deep dark sunken place or something like that. So yeah, that's the way we're sort of introduced
But she
to it.
escapes. The boyfriend says, "Oh, like you're only under for a second." But then the mom and dad get home. He scarpers and says, "Oh, I'll see you at the party tomorrow, though."
Yeah,
Um, and then before you know it, we have a little conversation between Izzy and Elliot where they both have seen something now, but Izzy is determined they're not going to talk about it because the dad is actually getting better, the mom's happier, everyone's happy. Let's not
yeah.
fuck it up just by
I think
saying you've seen some
they
ghosts.
say, oh, we're constantly having to like move house and stuff, and like we're finally somewhere we're a bit settled. Like, but again, this makes total sense, doesn't it? Because no one's quite sure what's going on or what they've seen. They're freaked out by it. They know something's not quite right, but rather than just going, let's get out of here, because even there's even a moment like that doesn't feel quite enough when they like go, right, that's it, we're leaving a little bit later, and it feels like it does sort of go from 0 to 100 quite quickly. But at this
Yeah.
stage, I feel like it makes total sense.
So yeah, we go to the pool party, having a lovely time, right?
Yeah, yeah. So we've got a pool party where the realtor Eve is kind of like, sorry, the realtor, not sure what her name is talking to Eve, that's the mum, about the history of the house and the pool because she is kind of querying it because obviously Eve has got her own suspicions about what's been going on. But while this is happening, everyone's having a lovely time in the pool. But Wyatt Russell, Ray, gets a little bit competitive. He's like, right, that's it. That guy who looks like Joe
Joe
Rogan in the
Rogan,
pool, I'm gonna fuck him up.
Kurt Angle over there
And
is
again, Elliot is upstairs in the room recording with like an old videotape, and we've already established this that the dad is using it
there's a
to kind of
video
like
camera, yeah.
help his form. So a video camera. Elliot's using it to kind of not be a dirty voyeur, but to film the pool because he thinks something's going a bit wrong. I want to
Yeah.
record it. So
And
Wyatt
meanwhile, the
has
realtor, as you say, sort of describes, "Oh yeah, there was a. It's just there was. I found it honestly. You've done the paperwork. I promise. It's not The Simpsons, but he says he mentioned it 6 or 7 times. She's
yeah.
like, I only found out after you'd completed on the house, and I did want to tell you, but I didn't have to bring it up. Someone did drown in the pool. And that's why the previous owners didn't use it." He goes, "Oh, her name wasn't Rachel Summers, was it?
Yeah,
That's not Rachel Summers. Isn't she an X-Man?"
it's not Rachel Summers, is it? Yeah, how did you know that? Is she an X-Man? Is she a relation of Scott
Rachel
Summers?
Summers is the daughter of Jean Grey and Scott Summers, raised in the future by Cable. I think
Oh,
that's Rachel Summers.
yeah, fictional character, it says here. Marvel Girl.
There you go.
There we go. What Marvel girl? She's here stuck in a pool. Bloody hell, I wonder where she was. Um, but yeah, she was. How did you know that? And obviously, then Eve is making the connection. Oh, what Elliot said has got some level of truth to it because he must have been having a chinwag with a ghost. And while this
Yeah,
is all
because
happening,
he's got
and
no
this
Google. He couldn't have looked that up.
no, you don't know how Google works. He's got a video camera from like 2002. Um, so while this is happening, the Joe Rogan versus Wyatt Russell with kids on their shoulders are having like a wrestle tussle. What game would you call that?
I think it actually has a name, right? I don't know what that's called.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but they're
Basically, it's when you're playing pool wars and you've got someone on your shoulders and you're wrestling
yeah,
them off.
yeah. And what happens while this is
You're being
happening?
big goros with
Wyatt Russell's
forearms.
accident, big Koros, yeah. He's walking backwards, so he's slow, like going underwater. And while he's under there, we see some creepy black.
Gets
Um,
venomed, doesn't he?
He essentially gets venomed. Even the like the angle of this happening, like it going straight into his mouth and him like screaming, "Whoa," and it goes straight in his mouth. We see it happening. Um, so yeah, it seems to have possessed him because
Yeah,
then
because
it
he
looks,
gets funny eyes, and then he's underwater. He's gripping the little boy by the legs.
yeah, and essentially drowning him, while it's happening. And his dad, the boy's dad, so as the coach notices that something's happening, jumps in, manages to get his boy out, and then Ray is just like at the bottom of the pool, like essentially unconscious. Um,
And they get him out as well. And for me, I tell you what, Ben, there's a few villains of this piece here.
yeah,
Obviously, the evil venom water. I tell you what, breathe aside. What's up? Oh, fuck's sake, get it right. Wyatt Russell
yeah,
wouldn't make a bad venom, make a good Eddie Brock, I would say.
yeah,
But that's not what's important now. So he obviously has some villainous traits, like he gets seduced by the power of the pool. They've got the bad venom water. That's a villain. Um, Biggest villain of all is how flaky the mom of this family is. Because, they're like, first, like, oh, what the fuck's going on? There's emergency services there. And it's like,
yeah,
Eve says straight away, well, he has a degenerative disease that impacts his nervous
yeah,
system. I feel like you would accept fairly swiftly and readily without any having to leap to the supernaturals that
yeah.
clearly Ray had some kind of
Some
fit
kind of episode,
underwater
yeah,
and his muscles had seized and he was holding the boy still. But
yeah,
the mom of the other family is like, well, the dad is like, oh, I don't think he should come to practice anymore.
yeah.
And the mom's
It's
like,
proper
didn't you
like, oh,
understand? What she said,
yeah,
like
yeah,
the Eve
yeah,
goes back to say, I'm so sorry yet again. This is happening. Didn't my fucking husband make it understand the clear? You stay away. Well, he said a little bit more gently that he shouldn't come to practice. Wherever you, who 5 minutes ago was saying, you better get ready, sister, because this is an annual event from now on. You go,
yeah,
if you come anywhere near my family again after something which I would say 99% of people would immediately recognize as a horrible accident, you stay away from me, all right?
yeah, yeah.
I hope
It's
she's
pretty nuts.
you know what?
But I feel like
I
this.
know she's a fictional woman. I hope she stayed awake thinking about that at night again. I've gone too far.
I've gone too far. But it almost feels like this film just decides, we're quite a way into the running time. We need to kind of like dial things up immediately, and we're immediately going to do that by putting all these stresses on the family from exterior, like things that were kind of like nicey and pretty much perfect 5 minutes ago, and now all fucked forever.
He's a Venom now. So you
So I think
know,
this the next time is when Eve decides she's going to do some investigating. She manages to find Rebecca Summers, uh, and then looks into it as well and finds out that there's a long history of disappearances at the house. Obviously with the pool being the key denominator there.
loads of
And then
people
he,
have drowned, but actually just disappeared in the pool.
yeah, these people have drowned or disappeared. They've just completely vanished.
You drowned so hard that you've turned into water.
You've become one with the water, and
You've been Alka Seltzer. You've just been dissolved.
she manages to find the mum of Rebecca called Kay, and then she goes to the house, straight to the house. She said, I did try and call, but no.
Oh,
And
she's
when she,
tried to help them escape first, though. I think after that incident, they go, no, look, obviously, he's right poorly. We're going to the hospital. And as they try to leave the drive,
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
he
they're having a
starts
big argument,
freaking
aren't they?
out. He's like, Sounds
And
like a big
again,
blobby fishman.
I thought that maybe this was because he was getting too far away from the pool, and I kind of
It's
liked
in
that
him.
as kind of like a, do you know what I mean? I like that as a kind of story thing, a story beat. And this is the thing, like there are some sort of time travel bits dropped in where we see that the baseball that he pulled out of the pool right at the beginning of the film is the one he hit, right?
Yeah, and the boy, the coach's son, moments before he tries to drown him, gets him to sign it.
Gets him to sign it. But I'm assuming the ball he found originally wasn't signed, was it?
No,
No. Okay.
he gets him to
Weird.
sign it at the pool
But
party. I
again,
guess he's probably before he goes off him because he almost drowns him.
these are kind of like interesting little things, aren't they? Like
Yeah,
I like these little ideas, but for some reason they're literally never ever touched on again.
no, kind of disappears. So you're right. Back to where we were, Ben. She does some research. She phones the realtor, who I feel gets like an ADR bit in later, where she is like saying, "Oh yeah, I've done that," and she's like, "Yeah, I'll bear with me, help me with this investigation." And she helps her find where the mom is, and the
Yeah,
mom of the family lives in a big
big
old
nice
fancy
house.
mansion now. Um, and we immediately get creepy vibes from her. So she's got COPD or some like oxygen disease.
Yeah,
Um, she is very proud of her son, who's a big senator, a big player in the UN, Secretary General.
yeah. There's loads of photos of
Um,
him around.
Loads of photos
And
around, but she's hesitant to talk about the daughter.
well, at one point she even says like, "Oh, I don't exist. Never heard of
Yes, it
her."
doesn't exist. But basically, as you say, Ben, I feel like it feels like running time's getting up there now. So, in a very good detective technique, which is basically asking a second time, she didn't have a daughter. She's
One
yeah,
more thing.
actually, yeah. She one more thing. She Columbo's her, and having been Columboed, Kay just reveals she Clarissas it, just explains it all. She goes, "Yeah, actually, the this
Yeah,
before there was a pool, there was an ancient thing. People basically go there. It's magic. It grants wishes, but you've got to make a sacrifice." And
and
obviously,
she
we
goes,
saw her
"Oh, fair
son
enough."
was right poorly at the beginning, and now he's absolutely crushing it out in the UN. So then we see that the sacrifice was made.
Sacrifice
She
was made, essentially, and it's all given to us here on a plate. Like we just all find out
flashback and everything.
flashback and everything. We find out that she essentially, yeah, sacrifices her daughter in order for her son to live a
Yeah.
lovely life.
And we assume that she has been venomed by the water as well, because when she tries to almost speak out against it, she
Yeah.
starts choking and crying the
I
black
could have
water. She's all
I could have
possessed.
easily done without this element of the story. I don't think I needed anyone to be possessed by it. They could be
Yeah.
manipulated by it. Do you know what I mean? It's manipulating Wyatt Russell's want and need to become better and
Well,
successful.
to be terrified of having a degenerative illness, I think that is something that you could,
Yeah.
in a very human sense,
Hmm.
put against people and give him some agency as someone who's been tempted by this miraculous cure that can cure something which
Yeah.
otherwise medicine doesn't have a solution for him, and be having to face the thing of, well, how far do you go? It's a little shop of horrors,
Yeah.
effectively.
How far did you get? And maybe
What
we
do
could
you
have
sacrifice to get the thing that you want
we
most in
could
the
have
world?
seen his relationship with the kid break down as well. Like maybe, oh, you're nothing like me. You could never be as good as me. Like I just want you to be this, but you're not. And maybe he blames the kid for the breakdown of maybe the relationship with the coach or something. Do you know what I mean? It could have been anything like that. The fact that we had to go all the way
He's
to
possessed now,
he,
sorry.
he's possessed now and now he's evil. It's like that was just one step too far for me. Like I like the idea of the pool keeping him like essentially making him better, but the further away he gets for it, or the longer it goes between him getting in the pool, starts to get ill again, and him kind of like becoming obsessive and kind of like needing to stay
Treating
there.
like a story of addiction. Yeah.
Yeah, they could have done loads of stuff like that, and the mum dealing with it like that, trying to sort of help him through it. It just felt like as soon as we see that sort of like black, uh, spirit, like, supernatural
Fuse
thing,
the venom.
the ooze, the venom go into him, and his eyes go black and his veins go black. I was a bit like, oh really? That feels kind of lame. And the fact that this woman has obviously been living for 30 years with the old
in like the White House that she
in the
lives in.
in the White House with like some sort of venom in her. I'd be like, if I was that venom, I'd be bored. Do you know what I mean? You'd be like, right, I've gone into you to possess you and to cause some havoc. I've gone into a woman and now I'm just sat in her house for
And
like the rest of my life.
is it in the fountain right next to her, like into a lovely um conservatory that she
A
sits
lovely
in all
water
day?
feature.
There's like a little water feature with the venom in there to remind her in case she's ever about to tell on it. Why
Yeah.
do then this happens? This happens a lot. Toby from our old mate from Paranormal Activity, he seems to have the same that like the law will ever get onto them. Like if you're a
Yeah.
water spirit that can grant wishes,
Yeah.
but sometimes need to sacrifice people,
He's got his head down.
why are you interested in there being a cover up? Don't you ever finger me on
Yeah.
this one? Because
It doesn't make it
if
makes
you
no
say
sense.
if you tell not the police even, but if you tell another mom that I'm the villain of this piece, I'm going to choke you from inside your body. Just
Yeah.
know that, all right?
And that's essentially what happens. And then Eve's handbag gets sopping wet and her phone stops working, which is a real life horror.
Oh, maybe that's why it's 15 years ago. So then it needs to be exactly the right amount of time whereby there were iPhones, but they were
Yeah.
not water resistant.
They weren't water resistant. Oh, God. I'm absolutely devastated for her.
Demoed. So phone doesn't work, which means she's not going to be able to phone ahead. So the kids are just in the
Yeah.
house with the dad who's getting all black-eyed in the shower.
Yeah. And here is where I was a bit like, it essentially strays into pretty generic territory. And yeah, like in terms of Patrick Wilson going a bit evil and insidious,
He's
and
possessed that time, wasn't
attacking his family, possessed that time. All of the ghoulies in the pool, which are kind of like insidious looking. The fact that like if James Wan wasn't involved in this, I would be like, okay, well, it's clearly inspired by this. The fact that James
Yeah.
Wan is involved in this, I'm a bit like, come on, mate.
Loves
Step
a
away
possessed dad, doesn't he?
step away and I don't know, just do something a bit different. Do you know what I mean? It just feels a bit incredibly generic, and it does go
I mean,
into
I don't know what relationship James Wan has with his dad, but I worry that at some point in his childhood he was possessed and turned evil.
yeah, it must have happened. Maybe he's still possessed and turned evil. This this evil spirit was desperate to be a filmmaker, and he's like, I'm gonna make a film about Aquaman. I'll make two films about Aquaman. All right. Um. So yeah, essentially, what Eve realizes is that now that Ray is being healed by the pool, but he's obviously willing to allow someone else to be taken as sacrifice. Um, and this is when we see Elliot essentially get got by the pool
Yeah,
because the
it goes,
pool
oh,
goes.
do you want to see your cat?
Do you want to see a cat? The cat's just chilling on the lovely inflatable flamingo. Can I have a look at it? Meowing, he sees a shadow of it, but when he turns the flamingo around, it's not there. And he
Bad ghosty
gets
cat that knocks him in the pool.
bad ghosty cat that knocks him in the pool. But not only is he knocked in the pool, but the pool cover goes over. So the mum Eve and the daughter Izzy come out desperately
Izzy is
trying to
pulling it, and then basically Mom Ex Machina turns up and helps fix it. She gets it back open again.
helps fix it, and they jump in to find him, and he's vanished.
He's gone into the sunken place underneath.
He's gone into the sunken place. It doesn't seem like the kind of place you can just go there. Like it seems to just open and close when it wants to. I don't really understand how she can like go down, but she holds onto a length of
She gets a hose pipe so she can take an extra breath.
I didn't think she was going to do that. I thought she was
Yeah.
going to tie it around her waist. So I don't know. It all felt a bit silly. So she swims
She
down
goes
into the
sunken place to get him.
And
Where
while this
the
is
daughter,
happening, yeah.
the daughter goes to phone the police and needlessly falls over on some glass in an event that does nothing to the story.
As well. Yeah, it's like we see a glass on the edge of like a countertop for ages, and we're like, "Oh, what's going to happen here?" But then I was almost thinking, "Is the water controlling that as well? Is that what we're supposed to think?"
It's now all water.
It's now all water. Essentially, it's the water in your body as well. So she falls and just like slams her hand down on the glass. Gets bloodied, and that is when her dad, in full venom mode,
and he has a slightly watery, splashy voice, doesn't he?
He's got a watery, splashy voice. He's got
A
like
bit like, you know, when you
weeping.
drink too much water too quickly and you slosh around. He's like that.
Yeah, he's like that, and he also looks like a goth who's had a bad night out, just like crying mascara all down their eyes. Oh God, he just don't love me anymore. Oh, crying.
Heath Ledger's Joker, just smeared makeup all down his face.
So yeah, that's happening. They're kind of like fighting. Why is he trying to call the police? And then at the same time, Eve is like retrieving Elliot. Find
He does Ghost Water Ray. I was going to call him Ray
Ray
Wyatt. That's I'm mixing the names. So
Ray and
Ray
Wyatt.
Wyatt was the manager of Harchester United. So it's not him. It is so yeah, Ray. He does the Marco Polo bit, even though he wasn't there for that. But I guess the water was.
Oh yeah. I think that was just kind of like that felt like a moment specifically for a trailer. Do you know what I mean? It didn't feel like a moment was needed in this film. I feel like there were a few lines in this film as well where someone said something so on the nose because it's supposed to be it's either for a trailer or it's supposed to just show us, oh, I need to sacrifice someone in order to live. Or do you know what I mean?
This was the bit, right? And he's like, oh, it's it's fine. It's actually better this way because actually he's having a real shitter. I'm telling you, if the thing that made it real shitter, so you had a terrible life and it was better that you were sacrificed to the water, being a bit awkward at school, not making friends that easily, and not being great at sport. So glad he's not my dad. I'd have been straight in.
Straight in there.
If my dad had the chance to be like, oh,
but it just feels like
poorly,
this the way that this is all wrapped up, it's too easy. It's too like, oh, I've got to do that, have I? Suppose I better. Feels like that, doesn't it? So obviously,
well, before we get to that bit though, because he's just bad dad at the minute, saying, "Yep, gotta sacrifice him." Eve has swum down to the bottom of the sunken place and rescued her son, but there's a load of horrible ghoulies in there.
Load of horrible ghoulies, yeah.
They won't get you, but they'll just shout at you and make it a little bit difficult.
That's why it feels like it really does feel like a ghost train. They're all just shouting at you, and you're like, "Oh, whoa, hey!" Ooh,
apart from one ghost who is nice, and she's all turned around in there, and then little Miss Summers. Her name is stop trying to call her Rachel Summers. I'm losing it.
Still in her pajamas as well.
Still in her jammies and her one little bunny slipper, but she has the smiley face coin, and she holds it in her hand and lets it go. And it falls, from our perspective, upwards. But of course, as we all know, even in a ghost dimension, physics are physics. And then Eve realizes that she was in the middle of swimming down, so turns around and sees that she should swim the other way because that's the exit. She swims out, and Elliot is poorly. He's drowned. He's non-responsive. And then Water Ray comes out and goes, oh, actually, you should leave him to it because the water's the best and he has to be sacrificed. But what neither the water or Ray had accounted for, that his daughter was going to come and beat fuck out of him with a baseball bat.
Absolutely batter him with a baseball bat.
Smashed him in the legs, smashed him in the head.
3 swift whacks, and he is.
And then a brief reminder to be like, stop being a dickhead, Dad. And he goes, think back to not being a dickhead.
Think back when I was not a dickhead. It wasn't that long ago. Oh, there we go. He says, oh, is he all right? About Elliot in such a weird way. Like Elliot's clearly like drowned. But when he comes back to his senses, he goes, is he all right? I know what. It's kind of lame.
So he sicks out all the venom after being told, like, remember who you are. And he's like, oh no, sick out this venom.
But the fact is, they're able to get him back to who he was by making him sick out the venom. Yeah,
bashing him with a baseball bat.
But for some reason, the only way of saving Elliot is for Ray to now sacrifice himself.
Yeah,
I'd be like,
as they start going
away, at least 2 or 3 things before.
Whack him with a baseball bat.
Whack him with a baseball bat. Try and give him like standard CPR. Maybe get a tube down his throat, like when you make someone vom. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anything. But I'm gonna go. And also, if I got into that pool ready to sacrifice myself, what would you do? Would you just sort of swim under and go sacrificed? Like, because as I said, like the floor of the pool is only there like when it serves the water. Like, there's the water just going, oh yeah, come down with us now. Actually, plus when you're down there, it must be dead boring because you're making friends with loads of ghoulies and one little girl.
She's the best one though. All the others are just gurning at you all the time.
Yeah, but why? I'm assuming that they're not all bad people, that they're all victims of the pool. So why are they all like, "Rah!" And why is she like, all right, here's your coin. I love you. Bye bye.
Yeah, who knows? But you're right, he does just sacrifice, and this is for me where it had a problem from a written perspective, and should go without saying, but I'll worry about it if I don't. People will think that I think I'm a better writer than someone who's managed to pull up these big Hollywood jobs. I don't think I am. This is just my personal problem with the thing.
Yeah,
In a story where one of their main messages was you can live a life that's differently, and even though you're facing like a really serious and really challenging illness, you can still have a good life. You just have to live
yeah,
something differently. And that's a message that is set up. And
yeah.
what could have been done from my perspective is that he could have rejected the thing because he never asked the thing to heal his hands. He
That's
might have
true.
wished for, in an abstract way, like, I really want to get better and offer them this. But at no point did he make a conscious decision,
That's true.
especially with the possession thing. Did he say, right, kill my kid and make me better? I
Mm.
think what he could have done was there could have been a meaningful ending where he had a sacrifice where he rejected what the pool had been giving
Yeah,
him
I like that. I
and
like
he
that.
accepted that he was going to face the harsh reality of the
Of the
disability that he was
illness,
heading
but
towards
with
of
his family at his
yeah.
side, supporting
And
him,
you could
and
have had a scene where he is there, potentially he's using a wheelchair, potentially he is, doing his physical therapy, and it's a hard graft and he may never get back to what he was, but he's going to be okay, and it means he's got time to spend with his family.
yeah,
It struck the same bad chord with me as the messaging of Smile, which I mentioned at the top of the episode, whereby, oh, what's
yeah,
that? Generational trauma, might as well kill yourself then, rather than
yeah,
try and do those things. And I get it for a horror film, like, you may be trying to serve some portions of the audience that someone died ultimately, and there's the tragedy in that. But
yeah,
I think you're lessening what could be a real life parallel with how people deal with all kinds of traumas or other factors in their lives without having to turn to the supernatural and mysterious. And I think it really blows
yeah.
that message by him going, "Oh, my sacrifice is that I'll just fucking die then."
Yeah, I feel like that too. I feel like by the time we get to him getting possessed and the way it's kind of worked out, I was a bit like, well, that film just shit his pants essentially.
Yeah. And
Um,
I think you're right. I don't think he needs to be possessed. I think he could be tempted by the fact with saying, like, I could I can be better, but it killed the cat. Is it going to have to? It's after other lives, and maybe he's trying to consider, like, how much does this mean to me? As you say, if he's given more
mm,
difficulties in their relationships, could have been very
yeah,
different.
yeah. And then the final scene is the family decide essentially to remain in the house so that no one else falls victim to the entity. So Eve, Izzy, and Elliot are all together. Obviously the dad's gone. There's no way of getting him back, it doesn't seem. So what should we
How
do?
how would they have explained that? Because he is,
I did
just
think
as a
that, yeah.
reminder, he won't have drowned. He won't have found his body dead. He'll have just vanished
No.
one day.
And he's a famous baseball player, it feels like everyone in the neighborhood knows who he is. Not that it would have been any different for anyone else vanishing, but it didn't feel right. They'd have to go. He's just left. He's just pissed off. His legacy will forever be tainted as dad who just fucked off.
That is just fucked off. Yeah. Unfortunately for the pool, though, they're about to use a swimming pool's worst enemy, Fuck tons of cement.
Not
Just
tons of cement. But then, regardless of the pool, the spring still exists underneath. So like, if they're gonna do if they're gonna do a bloody sequel, it'll just be like in the taps or something, wouldn't it? That's what it'd be.
yeah, just bad water getting out
Just
venom
bad
in you.
water. There we go. So that is Night Swim. I guess we'll do a little bit of name game. Have you got any for me? I've got a couple.
Got a couple for you. What's the synopsis, Ben?
Synopsis is a suburban family discovered that their backyard swimming pool is haunted.
Okay, here's the first one for you then. A family discover that they move into a new house, and the dad is poorly, but he finds a special haunted toy that you can use to enjoy yourself on a lovely windy day. But only the very edge of it is haunted.
Kite.
Only the edge of it's haunted, though, the kites.
Kite rim.
Kite rim. I'll also accept kite trim. It's fine.
Kite trim. Accept kite trim if you would, because my next
Okay.
one will be this. A family discovered that their swimming pool's haunted, and this is how they discover it, right? Dad, Wyatt, Ray,
Yeah.
he's having a nice swim at night time, and suddenly he feels a little tickle on his anus.
Oh, only a little one though. Is
Only
it
a little one.
Is it a slight rim?
It's a light rim,
A light rim.
but slight rim could also work. He
Correct.
feels that, and then do you know what he does? Just
What's
sacrifices
that?
himself. Just sacrifices himself.
himself. Oh well, give up. This one, a family move into a new house, and they get so sick of things spooking them and scaring them all the time that they gather up all of the scary things and just wang them in the rubbish. A special rubbish container that can contain all the horrors that you put in it safely.
Fright bin.
The fright bin, correct.
The fright bin. I like it. A family discovered that their swimming pool was haunted, and Mr. Wyatt Ray is having a nice swim to get better. And all of his arms and legs are doing really well, except his left arm. His left arm just ain't picking up the slack.
His left arm is something that's like.
But it could be his right arm. It could be his left leg. It could be his right leg.
Oh no. So it is. Oh, has he got a shite limb?
He's got a shite limb. Correct.
I mean, following on from that one a little bit, here's one I've got for you then, Ben. So similar to the one you just said. Hopeful to relaunch his Hollywood and acting career after some problems. Television's John Barrowman gets an entire face reconstruction to launch a new career. Unfortunately, fortunately, the surgeon does a wonderful job, with the exception of his lower jaw, which is just no good. He's not happy with it at all.
Lower jaw. Is it the fact that it's John Barrowman key to it?
Something John Barrowman said would give you a clue. So he's done a really bad job on the lower jaw.
Oh yeah. What did he say? Is it when he reviewed the film Old?
It was. How did he describe it?
Oh, I can't remember, but I'm assuming it's chin.
Yep, and it's similar to the one you just did as well.
Shite chin.
Yeah.
It was shite. Is that how he described it?
Yeah.
He described it as shite. What did he say? I can't remember.
That's mostly what he said.
It was absolutely shite. We just walked out of the cinema, something like that, but in his little American accent.
Reminded of that every time it comes up. I've got a couple more if you like. So, a family move to help with the dad's condition. They move to a theme park. Unfortunately, they're greeted by a sign that suggests, in shorthand form, that there is a lower threshold for how tall you must be to go on the ride.
Height. A lower threshold.
Yeah, that's right. So there's a lower threshold for going on the ride, but it's written in quite a shorthand form so they can fit it on a tiny space. They wouldn't write the word in full. They just abbreviate a little bit.
Height. Trim? Why can't I think of the right word? Height what?
Unfortunately, to get past, they must pass the height min because it's written in shorthand.
I see. That makes a lot more sense than what I was doing.
And then finally, for you today. Um, Jerry O'Connell's character from television Sliders travels
Oh,
into a new
Jesus.
dimension where kings and queens still rule the earth, and he is
Knight.
honored. Yeah, it's Knight.
Jim.
His name's
Tim.
Quinn.
Quinn. Oh, I don't know. I didn't know the answer to
Knight.
that.
Knight
Knight
Quinn.
Quinn. Oh, I do like that.
There you go, Knight
Is
Quinn, and
that
that's the end.
what a spectacular edition of can't even think of what it's called. Name game.
Of the name game. Only
Got right.
briefly paused when we had to go and stop my dog from having a terrible fight.
Yeah, but they're all right now. Who won?
Yeah, they're fine.
No
Oh,
one.
neither. It was all a lot of
Yeah.
shouting.
So yeah, rating the film. I'm just gonna jump in there, Andy. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
please.
thinking I didn't mind some of it. Some of the setup was quite interesting. I think it delivered some nice little tidbits of information, like the time travel with maybe the pool, like sort of
The time travel that you've made up yourself.
the time travel that I've completely made up myself, and also like the relationship between the pool and the dad, a very complex relationship it could have been, but they made it very easy. Oh, he's just been possessed. I think this film pretty much shit the bed for the last act. Um, I liked that it didn't have sort of like straight up traditional jump scares. There were some jump scares, but not like too insane. The fact that things happened at night, things happened during the day, I thought were quite interesting. I think everybody was efficient in their performances. Wyatt Russell probably had the least to do in terms of what the script demanded of him. It felt very obvious, and when he got, and it feels derivative of a lot of things that have come before. Yeah, like Poltergeist, like The Shining, and very, very heavy on the like Insidious slash Conjuring imagery. And with James Wan involved, it kind of just pisses me off a bit because I'm just like, oh man, come on, just try and create something original for God's sake. So yeah, initially I walked out thinking that was all right, wouldn't it? But now I've been thinking about it a bit more. I do realize that it's just a massive missed opportunity. I think Haunted Swimming Pool could have been cool. I have to go for just like a D plus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I am gonna join you on a D plus, I think, Ben. Similar reasons. Again, I am left with this slightly challenging and slightly unpleasant taste in my mouth. I already talked about it in detail. Just bring it up in summary again. The whole thing where there is a trauma or difficulty in your life, be it mental, be it physical, that a couple of these films now, the solution to it appears to be, well, just fuck it off then. You
just
might as
fuck off
well
and kill yourself. You might as well die because
you,
being dead.
yeah. If
Yeah,
there's a supernatural solution to what you're facing, or if that doesn't work, the solution is that you will just die. I
yeah,
don't think, I'm not trying to be like, oh, you should send more positive messages. I think they are better, more interesting messages, as well as being more
yeah,
responsible in, not necessarily responsible, just being less clumsy with dealing with the real life difficulties that people face.
hmm
And again, just had a lot of opportunity to take what were some really nice little set pieces. Like being in water at night can be scary. They built that very well. There were some phenomenal, cool little angle bits that we didn't really mention, like the bit where the sun is being slightly haunted and you're filming from under the water perspective, seeing him at the
yeah,
surface of the water, but something standing above him on the diving board.
yeah.
Some really, really cool
I
camera
like some of
shots
the
and some really,
shots
really
where they were
cool
like
angles.
some of the camera shots was like half submerged in water and half out.
Yeah,
It was pretty cool.
there were some really smart things, but I just think that the ultimate story execution didn't really know where it was going and wasn't as tied together as neatly as it could have been.
Yeah,
And I don't know whether this is a studio thing saying, no, that's too abstract. People aren't going to get it. Just make it that it's this ghost. And you have to do the bit where it's literally possessing them rather than they had to face a moral dilemma that gives the characters some
yeah,
depth and some agency. So unfortunate from that perspective. But there is some good filmmaking here. And I do want to recognize a little bit that again,
Mm.
it's a space away from franchise that's not been rewarding recently. But we talked about it before we started recording. My new benchmark is this film cost the same as a Godzilla -1.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy, isn't it? You think about it.
Yeah, and
It's kind of crazy.
yeah, and I think the fairest I could say is that while it has some moments, it ultimately wasn't as memorable
No,
I would like. I don't think this will um be an all
it's not going to
timer for
spawn a
me.
franchise, is it? I don't think.
No,
Unless it
no.
makes absolutely loads of money, but then I can't really see that happening. I'm sure
Yeah. So
it'll make back a bit,
a
but
perfectly acceptable thing. I'm not annoyed that I've seen it, but a D plus. D's get degrees and all that,
these
but a
get
D
degrees
plus from me
indeed.
as well.
There we go then. The first official review episode of 2024, the Horror Hangout. Let us know what you thought of Night Swim if you went to see it this week. But yeah, thanks everybody for listening. If you enjoyed the show, become a patron over at patreon.com/horror hangout. Thanks to all of our current patrons over there. Thanks to Taj Easton for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. Please consider giving us a rating or review and head over to the Facebook group Horror Hangout Board of Advisors for more. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube and Discord. Next week, we're covering a French slasher movie. Oh, I don't know if I'd call it a slasher movie. High Tension, or in French, Haute Tension. I thought you were gonna do it, and
I
you
thought
made
you
me
were
do
going to
it.
do
Something
I
like that.
neither know the French words for high or tension.
There we go.
Um, and it could have been something different. La tension.
I've probably got it
Uh,
completely wrong. I just remember the poster a little bit. There we go.
oh,
Looking forward to
yeah,
that.
we'll see you for that. I'm looking forward to our other films this week. Like, not week, other films this month. We've got some exciting ones coming up. So let's see what high tension does for us, eh?
We sure do. There we go, then. Thanks a lot. Be careful what you wish for. If you're feeling a bit poorly, swimming pool ain't got all the answers, unfortunately.
Yeah, Swimpool got all the answers. And if it turns out Swimpool does have all the answers, but you ultimately don't want them because the price is too high, just look for a middle ground whereby you deal with your problems yourself rather than just fucking yourself off into oblivion if you can.
Totally, totally true. Don't just go, I'll just have to sacrifice myself then, because unfortunately, life doesn't always work out like that. See you
No.
later, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Bye.